All right, that better? All right, there we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Bronze Reaper podcast. I'm your host, Rosalind Perkins. We got a great show today, and I'm still on mute, or is it over? Let me check. Give me a second. All right. Oh, okay, I can hear myself. Give me a second. Now I gotta find my goddamn remote. Podcast. I'm your host, Rosalind Perkins. All right, there we go. I gotta find that remote now. Uh, I just had the remote too. That's pretty cool. All right. Hey, thanks. You stay calling me, brother. I might have to get used to it. Salute, Randall. Salute, Kwame. And welcome to the Bronze Reaper podcast. I'm your host, Rosalind Perkins. And how's everyone doing today? I hope everyone's doing a good on Wednesday. Today I got the day off. Tonight I got the night off. I gotta go back to work when Thursday night. But I'm up. I had an hour of sleep, so I'm feeling good. I'm more motivated, so this will be great. Hold on, let me get this. Oh, here we go. Found the remote. So this is a remote to my TV right here. I'll show y'all in a little bit. That's a good flag. That's a good flag. Flag real quick. African ancestry, my brother. What are you talking? You talking about that one? That's a Black American heritage flag. Um, that's all the heritage that happened in America. It's not about Africa, Kwame. Um, I'm gonna say this, Kwame. I gotta be really honest. I don't think we'll ever go back into no type of solidarity. Um, the best thing I think you should do, Kwame, is try to have solidarity with other people and exclude Black America. I'm gonna be personally honest, and the reason why is because y'all did too much damage. The Pan African community, the African community, the Caribbean community, y'all have done a lot of damage. Like we can't blame. And I'm sorry to go off topic, but we can't keep on blaming Tariq Nasheed for everything. There's sometimes y'all gonna have to take accountability. If anything, put it this way: if we ever gonna get along, and I'm gonna be personally honest, not even no solidarity because that shit's out the window. We wouldn't even help y'all motherfuckers if y'all was on fire. It is. It's just not. It's just y'all have done so much damage. Y'all did so much backstabbing and foul shit, and at the end of the day, y'all can't even take accountability for that. So it's that shit's out the window, Kwame. I put it this way: if we could be cordial with each other, I'd rather that. But being oh yo, we gotta work together, yada yada. That shit ain't happening. Yeah, y'all hate. It's not even about hate. It's just like yo, y'all fucked up so much. Y'all been fucking up ever since you got to this country. Y'all really been fucking up into ever since y'all got to this country. Instead of having solidarity with us, y'all was with the white people. Every time we progress, y'all have to try to take shit from us. It's just on some foul shit. You can't even congratulate us when we do good. So it's just like I personally, and I'm gonna be personally honest. I don't want no solidarity at all. You motherly African brother, yeah, y'all hate this. It's not about hate. It's just I can't fuck with y'all. Y'all can't even be trusted. That's how bad it is. I wouldn't even be comfortable y'all washing my fucking car. That's how bad it is. It's never been about hate. It's like I don't have no reason to hate you. It's just I can't trust y'all. It's y'all like a dope fiend talking about give me one more chance. I changed. I'm clean. That's how y'all come off as. And it's yeah, I would have never trust y'all niggas. Like I said, I hope Pan African actually does work. I'm rooting for y'all niggas, but I'm not gonna help. I ain't gonna give no fucking donations. And the reason why we gave enough donations, we've been giving donations since the '60s. You know, and like I said, yeah, I eat Jamaican food. That's cool and stuff. I'll still support your business. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stop eating Jamaican food because I don't like y'all niggas. But we're talking about something bigger than just food and all this other stuff. Y'all fucked up and try to steal our culture. Y'all fucked up and laugh about all the progress that we have. Y'all undermined our progress. Why the fuck? That's like you having a friend, and every time, I just got me a new job. A nigga be like, yo, fuck you get a job for, my nigga? Yo, you're fucking square, nigga. Then after that, all of a sudden, this nigga get a job. He's like, yo, I just got me a job. I'm like, yo, nigga, I just quit my job because you said, yo, I thought you was being a friend. I never been a Vibes Cartel fan. I'm gonna be personally honest. I like Bounty Killer. I like Yellow Man. I like what's my man's name? Alkaline. I like those people, but I never really been a Vibes Cartel. Buju. I've been a Buju fan, but I've never been a Vibes Cartel fan. And like I know that's my era. I never really got into his music. You know, I personally think he told to get out of jail. You know, I'm just being personally honest. And I feel bad for the Lizard Man's family because niggas still haven't found him. He knows where he is. He's just not gonna say anything. Like I said, that's degeneracy. Like that's why I say like I can't support Vibes Cartel for that shit. I put it this way: even if I didn't think he told, I still wouldn't be able to. What's going on? E will salute, salute. Um, even though even if I think he didn't cooperate just a little bit, I couldn't support him because he's barbaric. He killed this man, Lizard Man, and made his body disappear. Why would I support that shit? That's degeneracy. This is savagery. This is the shit that I do talk about. When I say it comes to your country, shit like that happened. They probably cut this motherfucker's body up and threw it in the ocean somewhere. We don't know what happened to Lizard Man. Only people who know is Lizard Man and probably Vibes Cartel. You know, like I'm not, like I said, I'm not shitting on like immigrants. It's just I can't, I can't give them another chance when it comes to like us getting our shit together, us having unity. Like I really personally believe in delineation right now. I personally believe in that. I think, and the thing about it, you should be pushing delineation too. Don't you want to show your fucking culture? Don't you want to show what's dope about Jamaica? Dope about Africa? Dope about the Latino countries? It's just that's how I look at it, Kwame. It's not like, oh yeah, I hate y'all niggas. It's just like, yo, there's no need for us to be as one. Because we're all different. All our cultures is different. Even though you might not believe so or like it, it's different, Kwame. It has always been different. You know, now it's time to actually show our culture. The only thing, the only thing that it's a negative is with you, Kwame, and your culture is you got to take the good with the bad. You know, you have to take the good with the bad. FBA is don't subscribe to this. It's not xenophobic. The reason why it's xenophobic because we want to delineate, we want to show our culture. And I always notice when it comes to Black Americans, this is where everybody has a fucking problem. Everybody always has to minimize what our progress is. Salute Spence 49. How's everything? Unfortunately, immigrants have never been a fit FBA. They haven't, you know. Like it's coming to a point now is what have you done for us lately? It's just it's like Kwame. It's like, yo, we're at war together. Hold on, let me see. I gotta fix my screen real fast. Uh it's like we're at war together. Me, I'm out here I'm out here in the war zone just shooting and protecting people, and you out there, eating crumpets and drinking tea and shit. And I'm be like, yo, what the fuck is this man doing? Motherfuckers is out here dying. Motherfuckers is out here, doing big things, and why do I need you if you're just gonna do this? Why am I gonna need you? Why are we gonna be one if I have to do all the work? You're not making my life easy. So this is where Black Americans is coming from. Black Americans is coming from immigrants where it's like, yo, niggas, what are y'all niggas is doing? Only time y'all want is solidarity is when it affects y'all. But when it affects us, we're crying, we're begging, we're complaining. Like we've been hearing this shit for the last 30, 40 years. And none of y'all don't want to take accountability for what y'all been saying. This is where the tough part of, and the thing about, most of us don't want to delineate, but we know we have to delineate. You think I want to delineate from Africa and in Caribbean countries? No, I don't. But at the end of the day, I know we supposed to. I know we're supposed to. Oh, that bell rung, huh, Kwame? Yeah, that shit rung at like 10 o'clock. But yeah, the Whole Foods. Yeah, the dude got fired. The CEO and the chairman just got fired. They removed him from his position. I don't know if it was yesterday or today, but they removed him. Um, Hold on. So you're gonna take credit for Black Americans calling? No, that's not us. That's your own people. Your own people called y'all coconuts. They called the ones coconuts that sell out. But like if you want to but the thing we said, anything is a banana boat. A banana boat is not a Pacific person. You know, sometimes you gotta look at it, Kwame. Everything isn't about just your culture and your community. It's just this is what how we name stuff. It's just like, yo, you want to hear something crazy? I work with disabled people. And I had a training, and my trainer was like, "Oh yeah, so how do some of these disabled people go to the bathroom? They call it a urinal, but I call it a wee wee cup. I call it a wee wee cup." And I told him, I'm like, "Yo, yeah, they use the wee wee cup." There's like, "Oh, it's a urinal." I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I just call it a wee wee cup just so I can remember what it is. It's just my own lingo, just so I can remember stuff." So it's just like everything isn't about you. We have no derogatory terms for, but yeah, you do, Kwame. Don't lie. Don't lie. Have terms for Africans and Peru. No, no, we don't. Um, that African booty scratcher, that's a movie. I was even called an African booty scratcher when I was young. And I'm a Black American. It's like, this is what I'm trying to say. Everything isn't about you. It's probably a derogatory term because it's because it says African in it, and it has booty scratcher, like a motherfucker scratching their ass. But Kwame, you gotta understand, everybody scratches their ass. Would it be better if I say a cracker booty scratcher or a Black American booty scratcher? Or it's still the same thing. It's just you're putting a name or a title to it. And it's like I said, the little kids didn't even make that shit up. That's the crazy part. It's just this is what we were calling each other. You know. It's just yeah, it's just kids, man. Like you can't be mad at adult. You could be mad at adults, but why are you mad at kids? Like y'all got trauma because of kids and shit like that. It's just because you got also too. Some of y'all didn't. A lot of y'all who came to this country, y'all couldn't connect with the country. Y'all couldn't connect with the culture, what was going on in this country. You know, they all call Africans funky and stinky, and they eat monkeys. Oh yeah, we say it now, yeah, but they do eat monkeys. Some of these motherfucking tribal motherfuckers eat monkeys, call me. Let me ask you a question. Mm, E Will might be right about that. That's probably a white term. That's probably from white kids. Let me ask you a question, Kwame. Oh no, no, we made fun of people eating raccoons and possums. Yes, them country niggas. Yeah, we did when they came up to the north. Yeah, talk about yeah, y'all niggas be eating raccoons down there, raccoon soup and raccoon stew. Yeah, we just be joking around and stuff about because at the end of the day, some of that they can eat that shit down south because that shit don't eat out the trash because everything is homegrown. I don't eat it, but I have a family member that eats raccoon. God rest his soul. He just passed away like a month ago, but it's just that's the shit that they eat. They eat what they hunt. It's different. You know, um, yeah. Like they eat alligators, they eat fucking frog legs, they eat all that crazy shit. But the thing about we're not embarrassed about that shit because we know what's happening. Why would we be embarrassed that these niggas is eating raccoons and possums? Nigga, that's what they do. They country niggas. Those white trailer park motherfuckers eat the same shit too. The only thing that's different between trailer parks and country black people is white trailer park trash. They smoke meth and they have sex with their cousins. So they do a little bit more and stuff like that. They have orgies and shit like that. And when you think that say, yo, you're not fucking my sister. If anybody gonna be fucking my sister, it's gonna be me. Where you think that shit came from? Came from white fucking trailer park people. All that incest and shit. It was so bad that, niggas had to make it illegal. Jamaicans eat the pom pom and lie about it. Yeah, they do. I know. I know. It's like real talk on me. It's just I always tell people this. I rather a person just be cordial. Even let me tell you something. One thing about Black Americans, if you don't, if we're even like cordial with you, then I gotta be personally honest. If we're even cordial with you, we will still support you. Like it always has been like that. We always supported everybody. We always influenced people to like, yo, come to this country. You know, you could come into our communities. Why you think niggas has been stopping niggas from coming to their cookouts? Because everybody was coming to the cookouts. Everybody was coming to the cookouts. Hey, yo, grab a plate. Oh, yeah, sit next to auntie. Oh, yo, you want a little bit of this herb? Just that's how we are. We've always been friendly. But the thing about it is coming to a point where like, yo, niggas can't be friendly no more. People can't be like, oh, yo, who's it? That wasn't in New York. Yeah, Kwame, that wasn't us robbing the cab drivers. Yeah, that wasn't us. You got to look at it, Kwame. If this shit wasn't happening in the 50s or the 60s and it just started happening in the 70s and the 80s, then that wasn't us. Because it would have been happening in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So why did this is what you got to understand, Kwame. When that shit started happening, who did it start to happen to? Us. We wanted y'all to the. Why would we rob people where we're trying to have a solidarity with? Why would we rob somebody and like? I'm just being personally honest. Why would we rob somebody who we helped come to this country? It doesn't make sense, you know? And like Caribbeans are a little more violent, but the bullying I've seen Black Americans do. But you got to look at it, Kwame. We do that to our own people. We make fun of our own people. Like, I'm going to show you this book, and I want you to buy it. It was written by my uncle. Where's that book at? Right here. My uncle written this book. He's a journalist. He's a marketer. He does finance and everything. He writes books. My uncle wrote about him having a colorism problem growing up because people used to call him tar baby and oh yeah, you're black, you're too black. It got so bad where my uncle tried to put bleach on his skin to whiten up his skin and thought it was a great idea. And not knowing that as dark as he is, he was more beautiful than most people. He went through a colorism problem where it affected him in college where he will only date white women. He would only date white women, and finding out that's the worst shit that he probably ever did in life was fuck with white women. Give me a second, everyone. I gotta put this book back. So it's like we've been joking, and the thing about it, and the reason why we do that shit because you gotta understand, we're just making jokes and stuff, and these white people, these motherfuckers that y'all want to be in solidarity with and be teamed up with, they don't like you. They're gonna do 3 times worse than we do. They're gonna do 3 times worse than we do, especially if you're in their community. We're just making fun of you so y'all can be stronger because it's crazy out here. You flip out and show emotion, these motherfuckers will shoot you. These white supremacists will fucking kill you dead in the street like a fucking dog. You see, and the thing about it, I'm gonna say this. We see the biasness from this white supremacy government. And like I always tell people, it doesn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican. They were gonna do the same thing anyway. The Democrats were gonna do the same thing anyways. But they never talk about Daniel Penny fucking choking a motherfucker out on the train and having immigrants help hold this motherfucker's arms while they killed him. We're not gonna talk about was it Tamara Rice, Trayvon Martin? Like we we've been seeing these motherfuckers dead in the street, but we can't see how this fucking white lady died or if she's even really dead. We seen the outrage by the government. So this is telling y'all something. This is telling y'all something. There was a woman who just died from a fucking Latino immigrant. A black woman who died from a Latino immigrant. We did not see no fucking outrage from no government. No, but you gotta understand, Kwame. They all do that. They all do that. This is why we did what we did, Kwame. And I hope you're really understanding this because at the end of the day, sooner or later, y'all motherfuckers is gonna have to do what we did. Sooner or later, and the thing about it, you don't understand it now because you know why? It's affecting you, but you gotta understand. We've been trying to be sided with y'all for a very, very long time. Very, very long time. We were the ones who went to your coast. We were the ones who went to the West Indian Festival. We was the one who supported the West Indian Festival. When they wanted to take it out of Boston, Black Americans spoke up and said, "Yo, we're not going to take this shit out of Boston. You're not going to take this out of Boston." We stood 10 toes down because they're going to take it out of Boston because these niggas kept on killing each other. There was 6 or 7 people dying damn near every day in Massachusetts from the West Indian Festival. Multiple people getting beat up, violated. This is the shit that I'm talking about. We did what y'all didn't. We defeated white people already. Y'all didn't defeat white people because you know why? They're trying to kick y'all out. Boston have a large Jamaican and Haitian community in Africa. No, not really. There's a big population of Haitians in Hyde Park, Massachusetts. Jamaicans, there's probably a few streets, but it's not a big population as people think it is. There's a big Puerto Rican and Dominican and Cape Verdean, and I'm talking about collectively, not like oh separate. I mean collectively, you know. But I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something that I never said about Caribbeans and even Cape Verdeans in Massachusetts. They really don't fuck with black people like that. I'm gonna be personally honest, and I don't think black people notice that because, like I said, we invite everybody into everything. Even Latinos, they don't. They was it? Bro, I have family in Boston. And Haitians are deep. They're not deep as you think it is, Kwame. Boston. Let me tell you something. Boston is very small, but it's very big at the same time. Boston, like how y'all got boroughs, we have towns. We have towns. You got Dorchester, you got Mattapan, you got Roxbury, you got Dorchester, you got Jamaica Plain, where I'm from. You got Rosendale, you got Hyde Park, you got even Brighton, and all of this shit is mixed. No real talk. And like I said, the biggest population of Haitians are in Hyde Park. That's why in Hyde Park High, they used to call it Haitian High because there was a lot of Haitians that went to Hyde Park. But like I said, it's spread out. Boston is we go by towns. Like the city is it's still Boston, but we go by towns. If you need to know what part of Boston you're from, you gotta know by town. People from Jamaica. I'm not from Jamaica. Oh no, I'm not from Jamaica. Um, no, I'm not from Jamaica. I never actually. I've been to Jamaica, but I'm not from Jamaica. I fucked with some Jamaican women. They got some good coochie. It's just I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know why you think I don't even look like a Jamaican. Jamaican Cape Verdeans have been in the United States since um not really. Cape Verdeans been in Boston since the 60s and 50s. But they say some nasty shit about black people too. Um Jamaicans, um probably the late 1800s. And the reason why is to build I think the Peninsula Bridge or some shit like that. And they were supposed to go back. Some of those motherfuckers didn't go back. Like Cicely Tyson. Cicely Tyson is Jamaican. Both of her parents is Jamaican, but she was born in America. Her family just never went back. So yeah. Um, Haitians fought in the Revolutionary War. No, not really, Kwame. Black people, when I'm gonna tell you this, Kwame, when the Revolutionary War happened, black people already took care of the shit. They were just picking up the scraps. If there's even like Haitians that were really over here, it's a weird situation because everybody thinks Louisiana is because they're the Haitians. No, it's because the French used to own it too, and French kind of left their culture there too. That's why, if you notice, they have a They kind of got like a French culture. Like and also I learned. I don't know how true it is. I learned that the Haitians that went to Louisiana, they left because they had mixed kids and they lost the war, so they were in danger. That's why you had that Haitian black guy who went to Louisiana because he sold his own people out and they were gonna kill him. So he fled out the country. Yeah, you get those type of people, man. White people been undermining y'all. They brought us in the country to build a peninsula. Yeah, cheap labor. They still do that shit to this day, Kwame. Why you think black people just don't take any job? It's not that we don't want to do the job. Like nigga, if I could do agriculture and make a good life living, I would do agriculture because I know about agriculture. I lived with my great granddaddy for 6 7 years, and he taught me how to grow. He taught me how to plant. He had fucking what was it, vegetables. He had corn. He had cotton fields. He had vegetables, cotton fields. He had some other shit, and he had animals. I got bit by a fucking pig. That's why I don't like pigs. Pigs are fucking nasty, but bro, you gotta if you go to Savannah, Georgia, my family is from Savannah, Kwame. I told you my family's from Augusta, St. Clair's, and Savannah, Georgia. Yes, I told you that. You know, too far at Kwame, most of those people didn't do nothing. Like we already took care of everything, Kwame. You gotta understand, Kwame. There was some people that were enslaved, but there was a lot of people that were fighting. There was a lot of people that were already fighting. Some people just got into slavery and got captured. That's why they stopped. I'm gonna tell you a secret. This is the reason why they stopped sending like Black Americans to the Caribbean islands because they were killing people. Cape Verde's have been in the USA since the 1700s, working in wood business. You sure? What, in Massachusetts? Because in Massachusetts they came in the '60s. We can look that up. Give me a second. We can look it up. Just so we could actually really know when Cape Verdeans came to America. Yeah, but they don't like America. They don't like black people either. You know. And there's some people that were just brought up in the culture in Boston. 19th century. You might be right. Let's see. 19th century. Cape Verde's first came to the United States in the 19th century when whaling ships in New England stopped at the islands to recruit cruise members, leading to settlement in places like Nantucket and New Bedford, Massachusetts. A significant increase in immigrants occurred in the late 1900s and early 20th century. I mean, 19th and 20th century. I'm sorry, everyone. Due to the drought and economic hardship in Cape Verde. However, U.S. immigrants restrictions in the 1920s significantly reduced the flow. A new wave of immigrants began in the 1960s. After U.S. immigration laws were relaxed, leading to continuous growth of the Cape Verdean diaspora in the U.S., primarily in the New England. So they came in what? The 19th century is the 18th, probably. I think you are right. The 18th century. Uh, 19th and 20th century. But they don't tell you specifically when did they. Let's look them up. Hold on. Hmm. And the thing about it, most Cape Verdeans don't even like Africans. I'm gonna be personally honest. Those ones that in Cape Verde, they hate Angolans. They hate Angolan people. Because those are the people that sold them. So yeah. Oh yeah. They don't like. Yeah, I'm not gonna. A lot of Cape Verdeans, but some of the baddest females. Yeah, some of them be bad at the greenhorn ones. What they call those type of ones? They call them greenhorns. The ones fresh off the boat and stuff. Once they get Americanized, they're whores. I'm gonna be personally honest. Once they get Americanized, they're whores. You think Amber Rose is the only whore like that? Nah. Amber Rose is a whore too. So I gotta be personally honest. They came with the Empire, was it abolished slavery, 1869. So they came in like the 1870s, the 1890s. That's when they came. And this is what I'm going by because their independence was in 1869. Um, so it had to be like 10, 15 years after. Um, yeah, them girls is whores, man. They got some good coochie though. They got some good pussy, you know. But them girls are slores. I ain't even gonna lie, you know. But they're all getting sent back now because that's why they're fighting. What's her name? Tiana Fernandez. The one who just got locked up in Boston, who was like a politician. Yo, she was stealing money. She was giving the money to her. She had a her whole This is how crazy these niggas is. Her whole family worked in City Hall with the chick. All of these motherfuckers was stealing money and they were giving her half the money. And all jokes aside, she got married in 2003, but her husband is in jail for life. He killed somebody. But I told him like, yo, they reuniting together because she's going to jail. I think she's going to jail for like a whole year and some change. You know, she did that shit to herself though. I ain't even gonna lie, she did that shit to herself. Um, but yeah, most of those Cape Verdeans come up to Boston. It's not many. Uh, like I personally don't fuck with them like that, and the reason why, like I have some Cape Verdean friends, is just I know how they feel about black people. I have a friend, and I heard his uncle say fucked up shit about black people, and he likes black women. His son is half black, so that's just how certain niggas is, And I'm not saying all Cape Verde is like that because my boy and his brother is cool. I'm cool with both of them. It's just I just know how Cape Verdeans feel about black people. That's why you don't see black people in Cape Verdean gangs. You barely see black people in fucking Spanish gangs. You know, it's just like I said, most of these niggas don't like black people, and it is what it is. You know, but yeah, you're right, and you're right, Infinity. But like they started really coming to America in the like 1960s. That's the crazy part. Like when the borders opened up because they shut down the borders starting, I think, in the 1920s. They shut down those borders. It's like, yeah, nobody's not coming to America. Then once some borders opened up in the 1950s, 1960s, boom. That's when you start to see a whole fucking mass of fucking Cape Verdeans coming to America. Um, like I said, it's really nothing against them. It's just they don't really fuck with black people like that. You know. Some of them do, some of them don't. That's why they'll say they will never like. You'll barely hear a Cape Verdean say that they're black. You'll hear them say that they're Portuguese before they say that they're black. Oh no, you're right. It's just they started like really, really coming in the '60s, but everybody started coming in the '60s. So they just came up to the New England area. They got a. I'll show you it, man. The big population came in the New York area. This was what I was reading right here. Um, what is it? So this is the part I was reading. I was reading this part, the AI part right here. This is why I was like, damn, it doesn't really tell you when they really came. You could just know that it was in the 1800s, but you don't know where in the 1800s. So, like I said, it's a ordeal. It's a what's up, bro? First time on the show. Salute, salute. What's going on? Your name is Uncle Kilbert One. Salute, salute. How's everything, man? So today we're gonna be watching a reaction video. We did 2 reaction videos in 2 days. So tomorrow we will be talking about topics. But on the first hour, we just all talk and stuff. So if you want to be in a live chat, talk. You disagree with something, you agree with something, do that. I was explaining to Kwame that's revenue off of fucking the Tariq Nasheed show, and we were just talking. We was talking about solidarity with Black Americans in Black diaspora. I was explaining to him that that shit's not gonna happen, probably never again. But I told him I'd rather have Black Americans and Africa. I'd rather have Black Americans and the Black diaspora have some type of cordial conversation at least. You know, I think that would be better. And I was explaining the reason why we don't have a great relationship with the Black diaspora anymore is because people are tired of trying. You know, every time we get on point, it's like this. Every time I win, we all win. You know, I get $1 million. Yo, we all made this $1 million. And let's say I have a buddy. He's from like Timbuktu. Let's say Timbuktu. This motherfucker gets $1 million. You know what he says? Yo, I want to give it up for Timbuktu because if it wasn't for Timbuktu, I wouldn't have this $1 million. And you're forgetting all the stuff that I helped you with. You know, they've been delineating since they got here. Yeah, it's true. They've been delineating since they got here. It's, you know what it is too? And I'm just gonna give them this. I'm just gonna give them this amount. Um, I'm gonna say this. The reason why I believe that they were delineating here before, I mean, ever since they got here, because they didn't want white supremacists to treat them like they were treating us. They most people from other countries like, yo, if I don't get treated like that, then I'm good. I'm fine. A motherfucker could call you a monkey, a fucking a tree climber, a jigaboo, all this other shit, and you won't care. As long as you're not getting treated like that Black American, then you know what? You're fine. You know, this is why Black America started figuring out, and I've been telling people that for a while, and I just wasn't vocal with it like I am now. And the reason why is because I felt like, oh damn, I have, you know, Caribbean friends, I have African friends. But you gotta look at it. If my African and Caribbean friends ain't saying anything, am I still supposed to let this shit go on? You know, it's just like the poor whites. Yeah, absolutely. They do that. And like I was telling Kwame, I was like, it's not no, it's not like, oh yeah, we hate you. We don't hate you. We just like, yo, it's just one of those points where it's just, yo, the shit just doesn't work. You know, we're taking a big loss. We took a big gamble, and we took a big loss from basically helping the Black diaspora. We took a big loss helping the Black diaspora, and I really believe that. Did it benefit a little bit? Very little, but we benefit off of it. Only thing we benefited off of is knowing who's our enemies, who's our friends, and who's our foes. I think that's what we benefit off of. You know, all these people who are mixed and all this other shit. Let's put it this way: if we really look at it, what type of influence that they have? Did they have Caribbean influence or did they have Black influence? You know. So I think, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I think for right now, I think Black Americans should worry about Black Americans. If if the Black diaspora want to be on our sides and help us, then I'm good with that. But Black people can't help people when their shit is all fucked up. You know, because the reason why is if we help these people aren't not going to help us. I'm gonna tell you a situation that I was in at my job. I was talking to this Nigerian guy, and I was explaining that like, yo, Black Americans has done a lot for y'all motherfuckers to come to this country. These white Americans was not trying to let y'all in the country. They were letting white Europeans in this country. They wanted this country white, but we fought and we stood 10 toes down for y'all to come to this country. I say the reason why we even wanted y'all to come to this country so y'all could be on our side and we could be much stronger together. I said once y'all got over here, y'all turned on us. And you know what he said? It was your fault for helping us. This is what a fucking Nigerian said. A fucking Nigerian said, well, it was your fault for helping us. Like, this is why I always tell people all the time. It's like I'm not against them. I wish them the best, but at the end of the day, I feel Carmelo was diabolical. Yeah, absolutely. Again, this is where all these mixed kids. This is what I always tell people all the time. If my kid would like, I'm gonna tell you something. Both of my kids is mixed. My kids would have done that shit. I would have walked out on them. And all my real estate, all my fucking stocks and bonds, it would have. And I got stocks and bonds from like 20 years, and I just never touched it because at the end of the day, I'll just do what my uncle was telling me to do. You know, I still got it. You know, all of that shit will not go to my kids. I'll just give them a little bit of a lump sum of money of setting stuff up, but I would not give my kids anything because at the end of the day, I know it's not going to help my community. You know, and my kids ain't half white, so it's just I wouldn't give my kids that type of responsibility. I don't think they would. I would look at it like this: they're not responsible to have that type of power. It's not that I don't love them; it's just they're not responsible to have that type of power. If you're gonna shit on my culture for helping you, you know. Give me a second, everyone. Sorry, everyone. Just give me 2 seconds. But yeah, it's just I always tell people that it's like that's why I always tell people all the time, and people always ask me because I do another podcast called the Candyman Podcast. People always ask me should they day out their race. I personally tell them no because there's certain things that you don't want to deal with. This is why I tell people on other podcasts don't listen to Myron Gaines. He told black people to go out with Asian people, not knowing that most Asian people don't like black people. They go through a colorism problem too. You don't think they got queso? Why you think? Let me ask you a question. Why do you think Asian people carry around umbrellas on hot days? They don't want to get darker. Instead of calling them niggers, they call them farmers. Oh, you're a farmer. So they take that as like you're a lower class Asian. You know, so it's their culture they have colorisms too in Asian cultures. A pig told me no good deed goes unpunished. Yeah. For right now, yeah, we gotta focus on ourselves. And you know, black people has a heart. After we get what we get, we'll help y'all again, but we don't need nothing from you because we have everything that we have. But right now we can't help the black diaspora. The black diaspora is gonna have to stand on 10 toes down. They have to go through with the liberals. You know, and I'm gonna say this: these liberals is gonna hold them down because these liberals have a agenda, just like they had an agenda when they were fucking around with George Floyd. That Black Lives Matter. That was an agenda. That wasn't about no black men and black people. They didn't give a fuck about us. And I'm gonna be personally honest. Black Lives Matter did not give a fuck about us. When they seen that dead fucking man, dead in the street like an animal, they seen dollar signs. They seen dollar signs. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these bitches have a fucking Al Sharpton perm right now. All the money that they got. But some of these bitches is in jail. I'm gonna be personally honest. Some of these bitches is in jail for stealing money. You know? Like you said, no deed goes unpunished. And that was their punishment. They were stealing money. They're in jail now. They deserve to be in jail. I'm just being personally honest. It makes me sick to my stomach to see that shit, especially when I believe that they were Black Americans. They were lesbians, but I think they were Black Americans. And there's nothing against lesbians. It's just sometimes there's an agenda when it comes to Black lesbians. Like I always tell people all the time, I love me some Angela Davis, but I think she was a Asian. I think she was an undercover Asian. Just look at it. This lady damn near been in politics for almost 60 years. 60, 70 years. You know? She went to jail and stuff, but after that, she didn't end up like everybody else. She didn't end up like everybody else. She ended up with a white woman as her wife. Living good, you know, probably got like 13 cats and dogs and just living a good life, you know, and just left her people. Just left her people to die. We haven't heard only time we heard about last time I heard about Angela Davis, they were calling her a Marxist. Yeah. And that's the sad part about it too, man. Um then when we find out and we call them out on it, we got the liberals with their agenda putting them as the face of black communities. Al Sharpton was a fucking Asian. Remember the big ass cowboy hat with the fucking camera inside? Al Sharpton. Big old fat Al Sharpton at the time. He looked like a Roland Martin. He looked like Roland Martin before Roland Martin. You know? With a perm and everything. You know? And I'm gonna do another show, but we're gonna talk about black gatekeepers. I think the black gatekeepers is at danger right now. And the reason why, because they're gonna get kicked out by the black community, by foundational black Americans, and there's gonna be new leaders. There's gonna be people leading the black community. If you don't know, just everything's falling apart. Jesse Jackson, facts. That's true. 84, I think, 1984, a year before I was born. I was born in 85. I think it was in 84. You know, and a lot of people pushed back on it and said, like, yo, why are we doing that? You know? Why are we doing that? You know, it just didn't make sense. But he was an agent too. I heard stories about that crazy old fucker. This man, I heard when Martin Luther King died, this motherfucker took Martin Luther King's blood and rubbed it on his shirt for theatrics. This shit is crazy. And there was a guy, and the funny thing about it, there was an agent. Guess where that agent was from? Motherfucking Kenya. He was from Kenya. The best advice I could tell Kwame, and I'm gonna be honest. So we're gonna start this show. It's called Hidden History. Earned your lecture where 19 Keys and Tariq Nasheed. It's an interview by 19 Keys. I actually like this dude. He's super dope. But I'm gonna say this. Best thing I can tell you to do right now, Kwame, is fix the black diaspora. Exclude Black America from out of it, but fix the black diaspora. Yeah, he was. No, I think, you know what that is? I think Marcus Garvey was a scam. You know, because he bought those two raggedy ass boats that he knew that wasn't gonna make it to no fucking Africa. People would have died. I personally think so. Um, and I think he lied about a few things, but that'll be another topic for another day that we can talk about definitely. Before I start, like and subscribe, and also comment. And if anything you can do, if any, the best favor you can do is share. That will actually help what's going on. You can share it to YouTube and other stuff like that, and we can watch this. And also, if you want to give donations, I'll put it in the live chat right now, and we can get busy. Comment, and if anything you can do, I'm gonna put it in the live chat right now. Just give me 15 seconds. This one. Yeah, the original Dr. Umar. Yo, is Dr. Umar Cuban? I think he's an Afro Cuban. I've been hearing that he was an Afro Cuban, and I think he's Jamaican. You know, shout out to Jamaica, but I think that's one of your own. You know, I thought he was Black American because he's from Philly, so yeah. Um, like I said, shout out to Jamaica, but I think Dr. Umar is one of y'all's because I think he's Jamaican Cuban. I heard, you know, I could be wrong. Like, what's his name? Faison Love. Faison Love was born in Cuba. He's a Cuban American or Afro Cuban. You know, the one who's in jail. I guess he did some. I think he was a hit a woman or some shit like that. He's on court right now. He's on trial right now. You know. But let's get to the show. It's 2.5. I'll try to cut it down. But I heard I didn't really watch all of it. I watched half of it.
We feel a lack of connection. The power that the Black America parents to be interested. Peace family is 19 Keys, and we're here for another high-level conversation. Today, I am joined with a very powerful, necessary pillar of our community, of our culture, of the entire diaspora. This brother is very necessary. I've had conversations with people across the world, and one thing that they've told me that I've always found interesting is a lot of Africans say that Black people in America taught us how to be African. They taught us more about African history than we ever learned from our parents or from the continent. And often that's because we are in the search for ourselves. And in that search, we find everybody's history. Because the bloodline of Black America.
Yo, that's super dope that he said that we taught them history because everybody's still trying to learn their history. That's including Black Americans too. Don't forget, we're trying to learn our history too. So don't think because he said that he's targeting Africans or Caribbeans or anything. We're still trying to learn our history. Our history is finally being revealed to us. And thank God for our great great grandparents and our great grandparents. As I always told people, my great grandparents never told me that I was black. They always told me that I was native. I thought them niggas was high doing drugs again, but they wasn't, you know. Because in the 80s, the weed, what was it? The weed and a little bit of little people used to do a little bit of tooting, but my great grandparents never did no tooting. They probably smoked some weed, but yeah, motherfuckers was getting high and stuff like that, and just everybody gotta understand, like we're still we're Black Indigenous history, Black Indigenous history. Oh, and that's next month too, Indigenous on history. But I'm gonna say this. I know it's Indigenous history next month. I think we should just give that shit to the red natives and Black history would just be ours. I don't mind the 28 days, and I'm gonna be personally honest. And because we gotta look at it, if that's their story about them, let them have it. We don't need to intrude on their shit. Our shit is always lit, anyways. In February, Black History is always lit. So I'd rather just keep what we have. Let them have that. Who's that October? Fuck it.
Is through all the bloodlines of the world because we're mixed in. We've been moved around. There's so many things that have happened. So we are a new people, if you will. Now, in that being a new people, we often don't feel grounded, especially being in America. We feel displaced. We feel a lack of connection. The power that the brother Tariq Nasheed has with his career over time with delivering us hidden colors is he brought to light a lot of the narratives that we never knew, a lot of the heroes, the unsung heroes, the stories that was never shared because we were stuck in a indoctrination system that they call education. So that unlearning process, whether you're conscious, whether you're unconscious, whether you're of the initiator, you're just getting initiated, a lot of people can go through that whole caliber of catalog that he has from 1 through 5, and they can learn a complete new story about the real time and what happened here. The myth of white civilization being at the root of civilization is the biggest lie that has ever been told. And with the gathering of the scientists and the scholar that Brother Tariq Nasheed has done, has given Black America a gift, the gift of education, the gift of knowledge of self, and the gift of history. Not only that, he is an advocate on the front line of reparations. Run me my check. Y'all know y'all owe me some money. You know what I'm talking about? And until we get that money, we'll continue to press on the necks of the oppressors and those who privilege, you understand me, off our hard work, sweat, and equity because
Everybody, I gotta ask y'all a question. Have y'all ever been to the Revolt speaking when they had like Candace Owens and Tariq Nasheed and Killer Mike and Ti? Have y'all ever been to that? I always wanted to go. I'm thinking about going next year. Um, I just don't want to go to Atlanta, man. Atlanta's too much. That's the thing. The thing about, I always tell people there's only three places I really, really don't want to go. It's LA, I mean, California, New York, and Texas. It's just culturally, it's not for me. I lived in New York for 2 years, and culturally, it's not me for me no more. New York isn't for me no more. California has never been for me, and the thing about it is, it, black people be getting disrespected in California. It's bad. I would never want to go to California. And like, there's still a good amount of black people that are there, but a lot of them are getting pushed out. And the reason why they're getting pushed out, not because of money problems, is just race wars. There's still race wars down there, and people just don't understand it. They don't fight the gang members; they fight civilians. These immigrant gangs and stuff. So I gotta be personally honest about it. You know, I don't like talking about it, but I have heard from gang members, blood and Crip side, that yeah, I live in LA. I know. Yeah, it's. I hear this from gang members. They say like, yo, they don't be really attacking us. They attack like the civilians, like motherfuckers who are not gang members, who won't fight back. They're just kids or school kids. It's sad, man. It's right now. It's a sad situation, man. I hope that shit gets fixed and get better. And this is why I always tell people all the time, and this is why a lot of people out of California, because like I said, it's a different culture. It's a different culture where, like, we seen the race riots in California, but Black Americans will be on the front line defending them. They'll be on the front line defending them. And outside looking in, because I'm from Boston, we're known for basically our state being a systematic racist country. I mean, racist state. Like us, our state is very systematically racist. You know, that's a lot. No, it's. I heard it from some gang members. I'm telling you, SP. Shout out to SP. Where you been at? So I gotta talk about California for you to come into my life. Jesus Christ. Nah, that it is true. Motherfuckers be running up on people, and I usually be thinking that they be running up on gang members. I have seen a few people say that, yo, those people aren't even gang members. They just live in the community. We heard about what is it a black was it a black project getting bombed because they were on the wrong side of the neighborhood. You know, it's just let me rephrase that. It's embellishment. Embellishment. Simplify embellishment. Dude, I just got out of work at 7-Eleven. Oh, he's from California too, SB. So it's like y'all just gotta fix that shit. You know, this is what I'm trying to say. I have never really been a big honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan fan. Salute FBA convo. And salute SB too because I haven't seen you in a month, but but you probably was in the live. But I'm gonna say this. No mercy. Okay. He was here earlier. He was here earlier. We was having an actually good conversation. But I'm gonna say this before we start. I've really never been a fan of Minister Louis Farrakhan. I always respected the stuff that he has done. He is Caribbean and Jewish. So I'm gonna say this. He helped out the black community a lot. He advocated for the black community and he's Caribbean and Jewish. It's actually the other way around. Yeah, that was earlier. But hold on, let me finish what I'm gonna say before I lose my train of thought, and I'll answer your question, SB. Well, I'll answer your statement. It's a statement. But Minister Louis Farrakhan said that when Donald Trump got into office, this is actually a good thing. The reason why it's a good thing because at the end of the day, we could see our enemies. We don't have to see our enemies in sheep clothing because the Democrats is our enemies. They have always been our enemies. They have never helped us really. I can't name one thing that the Democrats have ever done for specifically black people. I'm just being personally honest. I see it's a shame because like I said, it has been a lot of it's a shame because people like Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is Caribbean, he comes from a Caribbean background, and he's a very superb violinist. But there's not a lot of people like Minister Farrakhan that is going to tell the truth. Maybe this is what I'm trying to say. Maybe some of these people do need to go back. Maybe some of these people need to like, okay, yo, you know what? In America, I did have it good. These motherfuckers sending me back here, and I got to start all the way back from the beginning. If I go back to America, at least they got to start me at a starting point where I can win. So thank the civil rights community, thank these black Americans that was standing on the front line, actually fighting, and some who was getting beat the fuck up, you know, Shabaka's people, and you know, you can see the solidarity. This is where the solidarity should have happened. The solidarity should have never happened almost fucking 60 years later. You know? Yes, they need to go back. Especially the leaders. Yeah, this is the thing. I do want them to say, but then I don't. And the reason why, and I'm very conflicted with it because at the end of the day, I would have said, yo, I'm not against them going back, but at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. But dealing with the shit that is going on right now, it's a problem. I forget my profile is and would you like it a user driver return towards it? SB, don't start. What's going on? I don't even know what's going on in the live chat, but hey, y'all talking, y'all can handle it out. I know y'all can handle it out, but it's just it's coming to a point where you know what, you're not just hurting yourselves in y'all community, you're hurting the black community because you know why? All the time that black Americans were fighting for people of back ethnicities, and that shit was solved, y'all didn't help us. Y'all had these little janky little organizations that only did stuff for y'all. I'm just being personally honest. I'm not going to go. No, I know. I remember what happened with this. No, SB, you're good, man. Like I said, if you want to dumb out, that's on you. You could dumb out. Like I said, I give Kwame the benefit of the doubt to dumb out. But when I start talking, or when somebody else start talking, you can't cry foul. I know you're a responsible person, so I don't have to worry about you, SB. You know. Um, but yeah, it's just I don't think these people don't know how good they got it. Because half of these, you gotta understand, a lot of Black Americans aren't getting half the shit that y'all are getting. If you came as an illegal immigrant, a lot of these Black Americans haven't got half the shit that you got. Half the shit that you got. All this, oh yeah, we had three or four. I have three or four jobs. Like nigga, my father has 4 or 5 jobs, and that nigga still broke. I got more money than my father. My father, let me tell you something. My dad worked 15 years straight, 6 days a week. Only time he took off was when he got sick. I honestly thought my father was an immigrant because of as many jobs that this nigga had. I'm like, whoa, daddy. What's your real background, dad? He's like, yeah, what are you talking about? I'm like, nigga, you work like you came from like Zimbabwe or something. This nigga was like, no, I'm from Augusta, Georgia with your grandmama and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just checking. I just needed to know so I know if I'm from a different culture or something. I was like, nigga, because I'm not getting no 2 jobs. So I just wanted to know if I was adopted, just no, it's just that's how black people are. When say black people used to have 2 or 3 jobs, man, and it's black people just stopped doing that shit. It's like, yo, this shit ain't worth it, man. I'm still getting like I'm barely making ends meet. Everyone's back then was fighting for their own people. You were just doing what you had to do. Um, no, not us. And the reason why, because we were fighting white supremacy in those times. You know, like I said, look at Tito. What's his name? Tito Felix. Who's that? Tijuana or something like that from Lilac. The Negro problem is not our problem. You remember that video, SP? And he was the president of Lilac. It's just I understand we're in 2025 where everybody wants to change their tune, but this shit is online. This is what birthed, the Latino caucus. Um, what is it? The Latino caucus that they wanted to be. This is how bad it was. SP. They wanted to be considered white. And like that's why I said I get you when you say, oh yeah, you call like you defend black people when you be calling your own people coconuts. I get that. But at the end of the day, sometimes we all right now to this day, this is why I always tell people. Right now, black Americans has to do what black for black Americans right now because if we don't do it, nobody's not gonna help. Ain't nobody gonna help us, SP. Your community might be different from others in LA or we should say SoCal, I think. Your community might be different, but other communities aren't. Look what's happening in Long Beach. Everybody think Long Beach hates what was it, Mexicans, you know? Is that true? I think they said Long Beach people hate Mexicans, you know? And there's a lot of them that fuck with Mexicans. It's just like some people just don't like. Some people don't deal good with disrespect. You know, and I always tell people all the time. One thing I like about California is they're not aggressive, but the way they talk sounds like they're disrespecting you. It does. It sounds like they're talking in disrespect, but they're just simplifying it as what it is. If a nigga call you a square, oh nigga, use a square. It doesn't really mean a bad thing. It just means that, oh yo, my nigga, you's a good boy, nigga. You don't need to be doing stuff like that. You shouldn't be talking about that, you know? Oh no, they're still no, they're still out here. No, they're still out here. I'm gonna tell you a story. I was dealing with this one group. They were helping reparations. This was before the task force reparations. They were dealing with lilac, and I had to tell them, "Nigga, are you crazy? What are you talking about, nigga? You don't know the history of lilac? Oh no, what's the history?" I had to tell this nigga, put Felix in there and put lilac. Cause his name, I don't know how to say his name. I think it's like Tijuana or some shit. But it's still out there, man. They help, like SP. They help y'all get like certain resources. So you do still need lilac. They help people get resources. You know, they're better than our fucking Black Caucus community, our Black Caucus community, because they're all like from different countries. You know, we're better off having Rachel Delsa as the president of fucking Lilac. You know, I'm being personally honest. Our shit is all in shambles, you know? So they just got a bad history. I think they need to fix it. I think they've been trying to fix it, but it's some shit you just can't hide in closets. Some shit you just gonna have to deal with, apologize, try to fix it. And not you, SP, but their organization. You know, not your people, not the people who are doing stuff for black people, but that organization specifically, that's gonna take a lot to fix. That man fucked it up. Cause that was, you gotta look at it. That was in the prime of civil rights movement when he did that crazy shit. You know, so that's what makes it even worse. But let's get back into this.
We are from this country because this is our country because we built it. Therefore, we actually own it. Now it's time for us to claim it. So I appreciate this brother being here. Before he was even a scholar, he was a Mac. You know what I'm talking about? So he definitely knows how to communicate in a way to where the world can understand exactly the necessity of foundational Black Americans. Brother, I appreciate you being here.
My brother, man, it's my pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
Man, I want to get back right into it, man. History is often told by the victors. The victors, depending on, you know, their moral situation, they could be the oppressors, right? In America, we know the story of our oppressors. We don't know the story of those who fought against that oppression. We don't know what their lives were like. We don't really understand what it's like to have even pride in being a Black American unless it's looked at as more of like a Republican thing lifestyle, right? But when it comes to the reality of the Black American gods, if you will, and I was listening to a publication and it was saying that it was on Black Magic. He was talking with a sister, I think her name is Sister Isis or something of that nature, and it's talking about you got the Egyptian gods, which is nice to understand that, but then you also have the Black gods that are the Black American gods, if you will, where, you know, Egypt was not just in or Kemet I would say. And Kemet, I'm talking about more so that mindset of things that we built was not just in, Northern Africa or
What's going on,
in Egypt,
Randall? Salute.
but we built here. There are pyramids here. There's pyramids and there's, mummies that have been found in America, 12,000-year-old mummies, and pyramids that's been found here in America. So why don't you think that we know? Of course, I know this answer, but I want to hear yours. Why don't you think that we know how special we are in America?
They have to create a narrative that we are guests in our own country. The narrative that we were just brought over here to a new country by white people. Our history was stripped from us and we were slaves, and white people felt the kindness of their heart to free us. And we had the civil rights movement and then a black president. That's the narrative that they want to give us, because that disempowers us. That makes us feel like we can't do anything unless we get the approval of a white person. That's the common thing. If you go to the African American History Museum in Washington, D.C., that is really the whole theme of it. When you walk through history, you see slavery, civil rights, and they got a big picture of Obama at the very end. That's not all of our history. We are the culture of America. The good thing about us is that
I'm gonna say this, then I'm gonna answer your statement, SP. So that's super dope. I just caught something. I personally didn't know that they had like mummified people in America. So if this is in North America right now, what you think is in South America? The Caribbean islands. You know? These are the things we gotta think about. Like stuff that was happening in Africa, like I said, we went through an ethnogenesis, you know? We went through an ethnogenesis. And this is why some of the stuff that we do have, some of this stuff can leak back to Africa, but you got to look at it. Africa hasn't been Africa in a very long time, because don't forget, most of the stuff that they wear is Americanized. A lot of people don't wear their tribal clothes. You know, they don't wear their tribal clothes. So it's at the end of the day, who's more traditional? I think I'm gonna say this: if y'all gonna go back to Africa, y'all Pan Africans are gonna go back to Africa. I think y'all need to y'all need to live in the tribal areas if they let you. Indigenous Foundation of Black Men delineating for reparation default. Yeah, you're gonna have to. We're gonna have to. Um, but to answer your question about Lilac, I know he never spoke for you. Um, One thing that I had to learn to SP, what I had to learn about like people speaking, like even people who talk for me, um, hold on one second, that's Shabaka. Um, Knowing the stuff that I know, sometimes you do have to delineate from it. Remember, I had that show. I don't think I knew you before. I had this show. Should Afro Latinas delineate from Latinos, or did Afro Latinas should delineate from Hispanic culture? Some shit like that. I might redo that. I might revise and do it over again. But yeah, that's something that y'all might need to think about. Y'all might have to delineate from Hispanic culture. Y'all might have to go back to y'all traditional roots. If you really, I'm gonna be personally honest. If you really want to get that stigma out, you might have to delineate Hispanic culture. All jokes aside, that Hispanic white culture, yeah, you might have to delineate that shit. You might have to change your name. You might have to have a native names. Did natives even have last names? You might have to go back to your old roots, man.
we can claim African history because genetically we are African people. We can claim Kemet. We can claim all of the great rulers that occurred in Africa. We can claim the Moors. That's a part of our bloodline as well. What makes us unique is the history here. in the Americas because the United States was built by foundational Black Americans. There was no United States until we built it. We have a very special claim here because every part of the culture here, we either created it or we influenced it.
That's a fact.
And many of our accomplishments are erased or given to other people. When we say the term African American, which is a term that was popularized in 1988 by Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson and the Boule and the Congressional Black Caucus had a press conference at a hotel in Chicago at the behest of the white Democratic Party, and they said, Black Americans now want to be labeled African Americans because we want to be grounded in a motherland, and they started to promote the term African American. They did this not to give us a cultural relevance, because we already had a cultural relevance here. This is our culture. What they wanted to do was make us comparable to immigrants. So an African American is no different from a Hispanic American, which is no different from an Arab American, which is no different from a Chinese American. So the narrative becomes, all of you minority groups contributed to the greatness of America.
Right.
So when we give something to Black people, let's give it to all minorities because you're all equal.
Right.
That was a trick bag. And they do that right now. Whenever we start talking about reparations, which we deserve, well, all people suffer. All people experience racism.
Right.
So we have to stop that narrative, and this is why the foundational Black American movement is taking hold so strongly right now, because we're claiming our specific lineage. No disrespect to anybody else,
Right.
but we have a unique lineage as people who descended from the slaves who built this country, who were the foundation of this country.
Right.
No other group. Other groups left their homeland to come here to benefit off of what foundational Black Americans built.
That's a fact.
Now, these are just facts. No disrespect to nobody.
Now, what about the narrative of us also being Native Americans, right? Specifically in the case of basically saying that most of the melanated people in America, when I say melanated, I'm just being politically correct, right? Just to include, the way various groups of Black people categorize ourselves, right? So let's say the melanated people here, right? The brown people, right? Dark brown people, copper color. We're here already when a white man gets here. Christopher Columbus never stepped a foot on America, right? So we know that he never discovered anything, but when he got lost, right? And his peoples got lost over here, right? They seen that we was already here, we was thriving, we had our tribal and nomadic ways of living, right? And there was already African explorers who came over here already doing trade and things of that nature, right? And so within that, there was already populations of people that were here, right? Now we know that the Native Americans, of course, were slaughtered, right? Because the white man wanted to take claim of America. But when you do trace root genealogy and people go look at their family history and they do one of those tests, they're going to be like, wait a minute, my family was here, which also gives me rights under these treaties in America, right? And so one of the most, I think, highest forms of argument that I hear is that Black people can't get reparations because specifically of the word Black. That is not a nationality. So what then do you say to that particular argument? Because I'm 100%, 1,000% for reparations. I just want to know, do we have to change the language in order for the law to be written?
No, we don't have to change the language. This whole thing where...
So before he answered that, so I think in the 1800s, in the mid 1800s, we already had a Freedmen Bureau. And I think to this day, we still do have the Freedmen Bureau. If you ever had time, look that up. And that gives us certain rights and stuff. Most people do not know, but if you ever want to learn anything, learn about the Freedmen's Bureau. I met this guy. I forgot the guy's name. He was the I think he's a spokesperson from the children's and the sons and daughters of the freedmen movement or something like that. Guy with dreads and stuff. And I was asking a few questions and stuff. I gotta go on Monday to Boston because I have a meeting to go to for the reparations the task force. The reparation task force in Boston. So definitely, I'll give you our update on Tuesday because I gotta go to work that night. Um, but when I come back, yeah, we'll do a quick early show. Get busy, boom, boom, boom. I tell you what's going on, what's popping, everything. But we were Africans way before Jesse Jackson. No, I don't think you're getting what he's saying, Shabaka. He's saying like, yeah, we could claim Africa, but we have a way different lineage, culture, because our culture and lineage was mixed in. Because don't forget, these people were migrating everywhere. It's like a European. A Polish person is going to be different from a British person. A British person is going to be different from a Norwegian person. So you can't be saying you can't. Let me tell you something. You can't make, and this is why I get Tariq Nasheed when he said you can't make Black Americans a generic African. You're just trying to make us generic Africans. Secondhand Africans, and I get it. You want to claim, told to Black culture. I get it. If a Black man let me tell you something. Most Black people want to claim, rights to fucking Igbo culture. The ones who got slaughtered and destroyed in Africa. They want to claim rights to that because they had a great, what is it? The group that you keep on saying my mother is from. This nigga Shabaka, he keeps on saying my mother is from Benin. I just told him my mother took the 23andMe and most of her genetics was Benin. I said, I don't believe in it because Benin is fairly new. It's a fairly new country. Most of these people, it said, I had like what, 14% fucking Nigerian. And I told him, it was like, yo, Nigeria was created in 1914. How can you say I'm Nigerian? My grandmother's older than Nigeria. My great granddaddy's older than Nigeria. So, like, I don't get it.
Yeah, you have to have a flag that's recognized by the UN and all of that stuff. Well, you have a rainbow flag that's not represented by the UN, and LGBT white people get all types of money and benefits. Some of the Native American tribes, these were tribes that were named by the Spanish. When the Spanish came along and saw a bunch of different tribes living among the Creek area, they said, well, you guys are Creek Indians.
Yeah.
When they saw some Native Americans and Black Aboriginal people living together, they said, those look like runaways. And the word for runaway at the time was Cimarron. So they called them Cimarrons, which turned into Seminole.
Yeah.
So these names come from these different places, and the names vary, but these people are compensated. We can get compensation without having to do all of this crazy paperwork because they owe us. We're supposed to get what we're supposed to get. And going back to the whole narrative about us having some Black Aboriginal people, that's absolutely correct. When all of the European explorers came here, Columbus's brother, Pizarro, Balboa, every single one of them said that they saw Black-skinned people here who looked like the same people who were in Africa. Almost every single one of them. We get the notion that a Native American is the Mongoloid-looking person, which is just one variation of the Aboriginal people here. They would use the red-skinned natives many times to be pitted against the black-skinned Aboriginals. They were the ones who were helping to capture some of the black-skinned Native Americans and Aboriginals. And then at one point, they started to redefine some of the natives who were black-skinned and called them Negro. This is very well documented. Then going into the 1900s, they had something called the Dawes Rolls, where they had a census where they were going to take track of all of the Native Americans and the Aboriginal people. The Black people, they just labeled them freedmen or Negro, And white people who wanted to get some of the benefits of being a Native American paid money under the table. They paid $5 to get listed on the census form. And that's where the term $5 Indian comes from. Most of the people claiming Native American that you see are white people who ain't got now drop a damn Native American blood in them.
This is a fact. This is a super fact. I think what's the tribe? I don't want to get it wrong. The tribe they out there in the Southamptons. They're the only black, like fully black tribe that you go.
Shinnecock?
Yeah, Shinnecock Nation. So they invited me up there. I went to go speak.
So that tribe is, remember Sarnetta? Sarnetta is part of that tribe right there. The guy who thought he was spitting the same game that Shabaka's spitting, and he found out he was Native American. So yeah.
To some of them, and they're the only tribe that has never left their land, so they never lost it. So their land is not in the treaty of the United States government; it's in their own treaty. So they have true sovereignty, right? And so it perplexes me that when you go up there, this is right next to the Hamptons, right? And then they hate them rich people hate them over there because they got real. True sovereign claim to the land, but they're as dark as you and darker than me. Some are lighter, right? But most of them are dark-skinned black people.
I think Flavor Flav is descended from that tribe.
Yeah.
Old Dirty Bastard was
exactly
from that tribe. Yeah.
So it's like, but we get this notion in our head that they look like Mexicans, modern day Mexicans as they do today. So that skew that's in our head of history is just wrong, because when we think about our story and time and what was happening during that time, we think about the modern Hollywood actors, right, that are played as Native Americans.
Right.
Uncle, you're gonna have, when you're on my show, I'm gonna warn you, you're gonna have to deal with Shabaka saying crazy shit like this. And Shabaka claimed he was part of one of the non-violence movements back in the 60s. So I'm not saying he sold his own people well, but I just want to know, how you made it this far.
We don't think of Old Dirty Bastard. You know what I'm saying? We don't think of Flavor Flav, right? We don't think of somebody that looks like you and I. So we don't even think to dig and look into that, right?
And what's interesting, a lot of black artists back in the day, they would acknowledge their Native ancestry. Chuck Berry had Native ancestry.
Yeah.
James Brown had Native ancestry. Take a good look at James Brown.
Yeah.
You dig? Take a real good look at it. You can see it.
Yeah.
Johnny Mathis. That's another one. So many of them would
look like he probably did too.
Yeah. The Jackson family does.
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
He was part Native American. Look at how he dressed. He was dressed like a Native American when you look back at how he dressed.
That's a fact, with the fringes and stuff.
Yes, indeed. So we knew. We've always known that.
Yeah.
We've always had that camaraderie with that ancestry. And in the Jim Crow era, there was a man named Walter Plecker, who was a part of the Vital Statistics Office in Virginia. They started doing paper genocide. They would look at black people, look at their birth records, and anybody who looked like...
Remember I said this, and remember I said they reclassified black Americans back in the mid-1800s. Shabaka, you was one of those people that called me crazy.
Like they could have any black ancestry, they would reclassify them as Negro. Whatever tribe they were from, like, nah, his nose is too big, Negro. Lips too big, Negro. And they would do this all up into the 1960s. The Loving versus the State of Virginia case, where they did that movie about the black woman marrying this white man, she's really a Native American. A lot of folks don't know that. I want y'all to look that case up. That's really a Native American. She's an Aboriginal person. But she was reclassified as a Negro. So that paper genocide is a real thing.
Absolutely. And that's why we really, our history is so entangled.
Yeah.
You understand me? And it's kind of, you got to go in there and release the knots. Like when I study John Horse, and I'm looking at how, number one, his story is incredible.
Yes, it is.
The man fought multiple war fronts, right? He fought against America. He fought for America, right? He fought on the side of the Seminole Indians. He was given his freedom in Florida. Then it was took him back, right? And then he ended up going missing somewhere in Mexico. But when I think about the significance of that, it's like, of course, we don't, you want to teach this in American history school, right? They talk about critical race theory and things of that nature, but that doesn't even go deeper enough to expose, because American history has to be exposed, not just taught.
Yeah.
This is the reality of it. It has to be an expose on, wait a minute, this black man was directly, and then, you know, when you go into that history, you see that the Indians had, or the Native Americans had their own form of slavery as well. It wasn't chattel slavery, but they owned blacks as well. So when you expose that, you're going to see lineage, though. You're going to see children. You're going to see marriages, right? And then you're going to say, wait a minute, this is my family right here. My family is traced back here. Your government made a deal for this land that my family lineage would own this. So, of course, we don't need you to know your story. We're not going to teach this in school. We don't want you to start having claim to rights to land. We spent this whole last 100 years trying to steal all of your land from your people.
Exactly. And going into John Horst, that was a phenomenal brother. That was one of the greatest military leaders in American history.
Yes.
That's never talked about. This was a brother who was down there in Florida fighting in the Seminole War. They've always made the Seminole War seem like it was a Native American against the
Right.
government. Even they at the time said, this is a Negro war. We can lie later, which is what they're doing now. But they said when they were fighting, we got to stop playing. These are Negroes and they're beating the brakes off of us because they don't want to be on no plantation and they're fighting to the death. It was black people down in Florida burning down plantations. They halted the slave business down in Florida. They were freeing people, slaughtering the white generals and the white U.S. Army military personnel. Many of those counties down there are named after the white people who were slaughtered. Dade was slaughtered by some of those black Seminoles. Dade County is named after him. The Seminoles went in there, the brothers, which I call the Maroons, because that's what they were. They were living in the swamps. They hopped out on Dade and slaughtered like 100 of.
This is why I be telling immigrants, I was like, yo, y'all need to go back to y'all country and fight for your country. No ands and buts about it. This warrior spirit that y'all talk about, this is the time right now to be fighting for your country. You know why? Because America is going through some crazy shit right now. I don't think y'all immigrants know it, or y'all foreign people know it. The black diaspora and the Latino diaspora. I'm talking about especially y'all Latinos. Yo, y'all have a chance to actually take your land back, to do what y'all want to do. And I think you're blowing it right now because America right now is fucked up because of black Americans. Black Americans ain't doing shit. But you right now, you could be going back, all y'all could be going back to y'all land like, yo, we're fighting for sovereignty. We're fighting for our country back. Y'all ain't gonna be extorting us no more. We're about to get busy. Y'all don't think y'all motherfuckers got guns in y'all country? Come on. The reason why America is the way it is, America is because we all have guns here. There's more guns than people in this fucking country. I got more guns than I talk to people. All jokes aside, and this is it. My guns is legal, so I can talk about it. All mine's got permits and everything on it. It's just y'all have to understand that y'all could be fighting for your country. Shabaka, all this African shit you talking about, you could be in Africa right now fighting in the forefront. You could be fighting in the forefront, getting busy, getting your weight up. But again, like and subscribe and also comment. If you're new here, definitely hit the sub button and hit the notification so you know when I'm online. I'm online damn near every day. So I do a show once a day, so we do get busy.
His guys.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I'm going to let this
They
play out.
made a treaty with the United States saying that they could get their freedom if they chose to move out of Florida. So they fought and won their freedom. They never framed it like that. They got their freedom and they were told they got to move to Indian Territory in Oklahoma. That's why a lot of the black Seminoles ended up in Oklahoma. Some of the Redskin natives were trying to enslave them, so they said, "Oh, well, let's go down to Mexico. We got to deal with them down there. They'll let us come down here and chill because we were working with the Spanish in Florida. We're still cool with some of the Spanish folks." So they went down to Mexico. The black Seminoles, they were supposed to protect the border, which is what they did. They protected the border from the Comanche Indians. And they were going back and forth. After slavery, they would come back. They would work with the U.S. Army. They became the Buffalo Soldiers. They came all the way out here in the West. It was those black Buffalo Soldiers who were really Seminole Maroons who were the first park rangers. All of the national parks that we see in the West,
Yeah.
they were the ones helping to clear the brush and build the structures in these parks and to maintain them and make sure that they weren't being vandalized. It was black park rangers doing that. We were the first people who were working in the mail service in the United States, the Pony Express. You couldn't have white people riding horses in hostile areas with these Native Americans.
Yeah.
They would have gotten killed and scalped.
Yeah.
They had to get black folks to do it. It was black folks riding those horses.
I mean, even this our history with horses and being the first, cowboys and Lone Ranger and things of that nature. Our history is so, like, they took, it's brilliant when you think of how they steal and then they remake history.
And you brought up the Lone Ranger. That ties in too.
Yeah.
The Lone Ranger is based on Bass Reeves, a foundational black American who was a slave. He was in Texas. He beat up his slave owner, got his freedom, went to live with the black.
So this is the Lone Ranger that he's talking about. So it's that white man that we usually see on TV back in the days in like the 90s, the 80s, maybe even the 70s. So this was Bass Reeves. Bass Reeves was a fucking slave, but he'll tell you more about it. Go on.
Black Seminoles in Oklahoma. He eventually became a lawman, very well respected. He had a Native American sidekick, a red Native American sidekick. When Hollywood got that story, they turned the Lone Ranger into a white man.
Yeah.
Still kept Tonto, the red Native American.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
His story was so bad, man. When they basically like, man, no, we can't. When we tell this story, we gotta say he was white.
Right, they had to whiten him up. We'll give him a black mask, but we'll just
that black mask was representing his black skin.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It was a symbolic thing.
Yeah, it's symbolic. But that's amazing how, now they complaining about Ariel being black, and I don't care about that because she not gonna be dating no black man, so that don't have no value
Yeah,
to
the
me.
mermaid. And when we go into mermaids have been myths in Africa for years. There's been myths all over Africa about mermaids and people living in the sea.
Right.
Yeah, so that's old.
And even the brothers on some of the coast that can.
That's in Benin, Shabaka. That was when Benin was like Nigeria and Togo. When they was talking about the water spirit. She was a water spirit. So that's for Shabaka.
Dive underwater, they can hold their breath for extremely long time periods, and they can literally go swimming. And it would make sense if there was any myths of mermaids that they would be melanated people.
Of course.
You understand me? I think we get it confused because you look at what's that fast swimmer that they be smoking the weed?
Michael
Phelps.
Yeah.
So now the Olympics make the face of great swimmers is white, but black people have always been great divers and swimmers. This is where we always played in that water, and I think the myth being spread around that black people can't swim is what takes our mind out of that, right? But the reality of it is, in every story and every myth, whether you're going to Greek, whether you're going to Roman, whatever story you come up with, the antithesis of that is made around a black body, a black being, right? A black character. And so they started mythologizing all the incredible things that they seen us do, and they couldn't help but to tell the story because this was like TV back in the day. Man, I seen this black man pick up a 3,000-ton boulder. Now you got stories of Hercules, right? But you can't tell this story like it's a black man. Everybody in the lands know this story, right? This is a white man that was this physique, right? So you got the Olympics today, but we know that in every sport we dominate. That Olympic stuff is for them to try to prove themselves against us because we have always been incredible at every single thing that we've done.
Yeah, and them having to whitewash everything. Off camera, we're talking about Hannibal Barca.
Yes.
When you look at history series, they always try to whiten him up.
Yeah.
There could not be a white Hannibal because Hannibal had African elephants. To this day, African elephants really can't be tamed.
That's
and
a
if
fact.
somebody tames them, it has to be a black person.
Yeah.
So there was not a European riding those African elephants into those mountains.
Hell nah.
That's logically impossible.
First of all, they would him, if you could tell, because Hannibal Barker would be celebrated more if he was really liked. Right? That's the reason that you don't hear about him. Oftentimes now you hear about it from black historians. You understand me? Because we know that we're telling our story, right? But otherwise they would praise him the same way that they praise Napoleon, the same way that they praise Julius Caesar, and all of these other different people. But he's not thrown in that round table of names.
Exactly.
Right? But they like, no, we're not gonna tell the story because then people go dive deep into it too much.
And then they're gonna start seeing the more ancient coins with his image on them, with the elephants on the back.
And then they always got some stupid reason on why, you know, everywhere they go, we're painted black, we have black features, and then they always come up with a reason why this had to be black or why the features were shown this way. Right. When
That's Egypt. I think they're talking about Egypt. Egypt, swear to God that, those people in Egypt right now, swear to God they're the modern day Egyptians. I tell people all the time they're just Persian Turkish people, so I believe that. I think they're Turkish Persian people,
you look at Hannibal Barker, I think his story is a representation of our genius, specifically from us being military genius.
Yes, indeed.
Because we're always painted as a very peaceful, easily conquered people. But the reality of it is we are the follower of military strategy, right? And through Hannibal Barker, you see a representation of that. Him taking 100,000 men and losing 80% of that and still conquering a 1 million man army, right? And being the only person to conquer Rome. So that is a powerful story that if you start a child off with that story of their history, they're like, oh, that's where I come from? Okay, I can handle anything. No, but if you take and you start that story, you were weak, bonded, and in chains, right? Then it's like, damn, I feel bad for myself. Right? So like where your story starts matters because that's where you begin your narrative of who you are and what you are capable of doing. So I can understand why they're like, all right, we gotta whitewash this, we gotta whitewash that, we gotta change the features here. Everything has to be changed because it's gonna be very hard for you to dominate a people who have the largest population on the planet Earth. You have to separate them, number one. You have to have all of them speak a different language. They have to have all different details and accounts of what history is. They can never see themselves as one because we would never be able to conquer them as one because we are the minority. Absolutely. So with whites being the minorities and blacks being the majority on this planet Earth, they can only psychologically beat us, right? Because this the only thing. And this happens through all our societies, right? You see the majority is always conquered by the minority. That's the reality everywhere on the planet Earth. And so you wonder what subdues these people from just rising up.
Shabaka. I don't think you watched the beginning, Shabaka. He's explaining, he said before that people, even black Americans, are still trying to figure out what their story is. He said without black people has been telling their stories for a very long time, been telling their history for a very long time. A lot of these Africans did not know their culture, Shabaka. A lot of these Africans didn't know that some of their cultures has been mixed and mingled. Like this is why they're scholars. They did the research, Shabaka. They're telling you about the Hannibal Boris that the Greeks and the Romans try to take away from y'all. He's telling you the reason why. And this is why I told you all the time, Shabaka, without Tariq Nasheed, y'all wouldn't be telling this fucking story right now. Y'all wouldn't be looking deep in about African culture. I'm just being personally honest. Your great-grandparents wasn't telling you. Your grandparents wasn't telling you this shit. I don't know if you're African or Caribbean, but your parents wasn't telling you this shit. Tariq Nasheed had to make hidden colors for y'all. Just to figure out what the fuck is going on in Africa. Why do they tell these fucking lies about your country?
Right? It's a spiritual and psychological warfare that's played upon those people.
And we don't understand how much they study us, going back to Hannibal and the elephants. Remember, the elephants, that was the prototype for military tanks with the trunk and the big body and the tusk and all of that. That's the military. they've always studied us. And even some of the Maroon uprisings, they study that in military school now. And they put it in movies. For example,
And FYI, Shabaka, you separated yourself. You and your people separated yourself. We didn't separate you. We wanted to be aligned with y'all. But y'all didn't want that.
Black Maroons down in Florida and on the East Coast, because black people were living in swamps doing sneak attacks against the white supremacists. One thing that the Maroons would do, they would wear red bandanas. And they would have something called the bloody flag. They would raise a red flag. Always look out for the bandanas, because that was something that the Moors were wearing too. Moors back in Europe would have those red bandanas. That represented fire and war. When you look at movies like Rambo, where Rambo is this character.
And he's just told you, you see, Shabaka, you can't, and I wish Kwame was here so he can listen to this, because Kwame just thinks people are in captivity. And I was explaining to him, and we just seen pictures of black Americans fighting and killing white supremacists, killing the white slave master. We were getting busy out here.
Yeah. Fighting as if he's a Maroon. He's fighting in the swamp all the time. He's always wearing a red bandana. You dig? They get all of these symbolisms from us. They know what they're doing, and they give little winks and nods to each other. They study everything we do and then formulate that into their culture as if they came up with it.
See, that's powerful. We talk about the swamps, and I was listening to an interview with you, and y'all was talking about, voodoo, right? And how, we utilized the swamps because we were masters of it, right? And we knew that they weren't masters of it, and we can beat them in that particular terrain. But specifically when it comes to voodoo, voodoo is seen as, as what's the word I'm looking for? A bad thing, essentially, right? And of course, the dark arts and everything to black and dark is considered to be bad, right? And then of course, white magic is considered to be good. But the reality of it is we've been masters of the elements, right? And the spirit, our entire existence. So you don't get the Haitians winning, you don't get Natty and the Maroons winning without them being able to utilize, right, the elements.
That's all it is.
Yes.
Voodoo and all that, it's you connecting with nature and the spirit realm. That's all, because it's all the same.
Right.
But us understand.
And I'm gonna say this, we could go right back into it. Every time, and this is to you, Shabaka, every time when Tariq Nasheed defends y'all Africans, y'all Caribbeans, you still shit on him. This motherfucker is defending your culture, defending your lineage, defending Africa, and you still shitting on him. You telling that this man is lying, defending your culture, saying the most positive things about Africa. This is why I always tell you, Pan-African movement ain't shit. Because damn if we do, damn if we don't. Damn if we defend you and you still shit on us.
That in a real way, not white Jesus.
Right.
You dig?
Yeah.
Understanding that we are the essence, we are all of this stuff. We as melanated people we're nature. We are the spirit realm. All of it is connected, and we can get our strength from that. And that's what they did in Haiti. And that scared the hell out of white people, and it scares them now. That's why they made voodoo something negative. Because what we started doing, we started getting in those swamps with those alligators where white people couldn't go into. Even here in the Americas, we would live around those wild animals because we were on the same page with them. We weren't afraid of them. We had a spiritual connection with them. Even in Africa today, you don't see a lot of African people getting attacked by the animals because they have a relationship spiritually with the animals. When we and our brothers and sisters were fighting these white supremacists using their voodoo system, that scared the white supremacists so much, they started making movies in the 1930s about zombies and black Haitians. The early voodoo movies had Haitians in them, them portraying Haitians. The word zombie, which the zombie genre is real big today, that comes from a Haitian man named Jean Zombie, who was killing white people in Haiti during the revolution. After the revolution was over, they were getting the French out. It was this light-skinned slave, former slave named Jean Zombie, who was slaughtering the French. So his name became synonymous with terror. That's where the word zombie comes from. So they've always been afraid of that. They taught us to be afraid of voodoo too. They taught us that it's witchcraft and it's evil. And then we start listening to the white supremacists and start forgetting our history and our essence because they've scared us out of it.
Because it disconnects us.
Right.
If you want to spiritually and psychologically control people, and they have this connection to the element that empowers them, you have to break that connection first, because that's going to give them confidence, right? Now they're in harmony with mentalism, right? Now they know how to use the power of the mind. They know how to use everything around them that becomes a solution for whatever problem that they have. And then we go into alchemy. Right. So talking to my brother Idris Sandu, we was talking about the difference between, like, you got manifestors and then you have alchemists. Alchemists use what they have. The manifestor is using mentalism to attract things into their reality to bring them forth. Now, of course, the combination of those are very powerful, but as a people, we have the ability to transform any substance into the tool that we very needed to free ourselves, right? So when you got a people who believe in systems, or what we call magic, right, which is really science and alchemy, right, and knowing the ability of how to apply that and create weapons and use our own spiritual force and will, then that's impossible to conquer those people. And you see that through Haiti, and then you see that through Natty and the Maroons, and I want to talk to you about that because I know you have a project coming up. Now, I went out to Jamaica, and I went up there, right, to the Maroon land, and I went to the grave site of Nanny, and then, you know, I'm deep on supreme mathematics and numerology, and she fought a 19-year war. So she one of them 19 keys, you know what I'm saying? But the significance of her is very powerful in her story because, you know, there was this one particular story where it was the British, right? The British were scared of her because they believed she could stop bullets, right, with her ass, or her for the channel, her glutes, right? So, but the story they say was that she calculated the distance of how far the bullets could fly, right? And so she marked it in there in the dirt. So when they get close, she'd stand there, turn around, right, and show her glutes, and then when they would shoot, it would stop right there before it hit her butt. So they were afraid, like, wait a minute, this no magic, you know what I'm saying? And she knew the terrain so well that it was going to be impossible for them to defeat her. But the beauty of when her story ends is that she wins, and she refuses to take any treaties from the queen, and she goes back and become a gardener. And she lives a soft life. And to me, that's the story of, like, you know, doing a 180, right? A woman masculizing herself into the logical warfare to help her people get free, and then going back into the harmony of her feminine energy, right? And going back into softness. And so we have to learn, number one, there's no great revolution without black women, right? There's no nothing. But what is the end result? Our women have to be able to get back into their softness, not to stay in a state of masculinity because they had to masculize themselves for warfare, right? And that's what we're dealing with. So when people go through economic warfare and they're in poverty, that is a state and a condition that the people must fight out of. So if the black man is not standing there with the financial education, with the, you know, ability to liberate themselves into wealth, then the woman now, of course, we know how the tools put her in that position, but she's going to masculize herself to get out of that. Because state of poverty is not a state for human beings to live a quality of life.
Absolutely.
But we have to have a plan to say, okay, now our plan is to bring our women back into softness.
And we have to understand that warfare is based on deception. What you just explained, the white supremacists know that too. They understand the importance of women to go back into their femininity and men to be into their masculine bag. This is why they are always promoting sexual confusion to black people.
That's a fact.
We can't get anything financed from the dominant society unless we say we have some questions about our sexuality, then the money and the checks start rolling left and right.
That's a fact.
They got black men out here, and Dr. Welsing said this was going to happen. She said this years ago. Black men are going to stop sagging because sagging is really a form of femininity because mask itself as masculine gangster stuff, but really it comes out of prison. And guys showing their asses to other men. She said eventually they're going to come out the sagging pants and start putting on dresses, and that's what we see now, and that's promoted all across the board towards us. When you look at hip-hop award shows now, you got more dudes with dresses than women now.
That's a fact.
That's propaganda. So now you have black men being told to be more feminine, so naturally that's going to make the women more masculine, because who's going to protect me? Not this nigga in a dress.
Right.
So we're being deliberately buck broken as a group. That's why I did a movie called Buck Breaking.
Yeah.
The buck breaking didn't just stop on the plantation.
What does the word buck breaking mean?
Buck breaking comes from when slave owners would get a black male, and they would call us bucks, like an animal on plantations. And if there was a strong, powerful black man who they need to demasculinize, they would sexually assault him on plantations. We have to break this buck.
Yeah.
Just like in prison. The whole thing where we're going to take somebody's manhood, that comes from the white supremacists that they have brought into the prison systems.
Right. That's a form of spiritually, conquering a person.
It's 100% spiritual conquering. That's all it's about. If you can conquer somebody spiritually, you got them mentally and physically.
Yes.
You see?
That's what you get with Dahmer. And the whole, because it's 2 points. One of it is a power, where if you see somebody who has a power that you don't have, they believe that they can take that power, you understand me, by literally eating this person, right? So they would eat the flesh, right? There's stories of, European warriors eating the flesh of Africans, because here are these big body, strong Africans, and they want that spiritual essence to come into them. And then so that goes into many ways to where there's
FYI, white people have been eating black people since the 1960s. They stopped eating people. They stopped eating people in 1960s, 1970s.
the psychological aspect that happens. Dr. Wesley talked about it when he said that showing us getting murdered on film a lot and us watching that effeminates us, right? And it's
Shabaka, we're telling you that we need to delineate. Yes, we need to separate right now. We need to separate right now because at the end of the day, black people are not getting anything solved helping other people. Like, let me ask you a question, Shabaka. I'll give you a chance. If immigrants help us get reparations policies and tangibles, we will help you. We will be on the front row helping you. Do you think you can put immigrants, the black diaspora and the Latino community together to help us get reparations, tangibles, and policies? Oh, you went silent.
spiritually robs us because we constantly seeing ourselves lose, we constantly seeing ourselves, oppressed, and it drains our testosterone.
Even before television, when they would lynch black people, they would put it on postcards and send the postcards of the lynchings all around the country.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely true.
Yeah, that propaganda. That's the number one way to rule a people is through propaganda. Not physical anything, because they understand that they can psychologically embed images, self-identity of who you think you are. And if I can get you to think that you are a victim, not a warrior, you are a victim. So now when you go out there, in your mind is the narrative and the behavior of a victim, not a warrior, right? If I show you as Superman, if I show you as Black Panther, now you're gonna come out there with this new self-image, and the way that you respond is going to be representative of your self-image. So no, it has to be psychologically damaging. You have to see a foot on your neck. So now you thinking, damn, in this situation, I'm gonna be just like that image I seen. So instead, we have to have a counter propaganda machine and counter intelligence.
Again, I just helped you out and you just started talking about Tariq Nasheed. I said this. Do you think you could put a whole bunch of Africans and Latinos together to help us get reparations, tangibles, and policies? If you can, we will help with your black diaspora. We are black with your Pan-African jibber-jabber movement thing. I personally will help you. If you can't help us, we can't help you, Shabaka. We don't care what Tariq Nasheed says. I'm saying, if you could do that, I bet you everybody who ever stepped a foot on my show that is Black American will agree. Can you do that?
Just that says that no, we're going to teach you who you are from a confidence standpoint, from a warrior standpoint, from a king standpoint, from a military strategist standpoint, from a God standpoint.
Yeah.
None of these things are damaging to you.
Correct.
Those who have the education are able to take full advantage of the innovation by setting themselves up as the industry leaders, the most qualified and skilled, so they can teach the world what's to come because they are the ones that build it. It's starting to feel like even though we have access to all this information, most people still don't know how to use it. And it's like the world is getting tested, but you need a cheat code in order to make sure that you pass it. People feel like the algorithm is against us. Well, what if I told you that we built the algorithm that was for you? In the block world order, you need the best technology and the net you is greatness. But I want to and the rest is the fact that's not here. You become the embodiment, you vibrate at that rate. So you're not surrounded by wealth. I say this carefully, and they got context in the other videos, so I don't have to really break it down. But when you go to Egypt, and you see the pyramids built in our images, right? Huge statues, right? You go to Amenes, the first pharaoh, and he built his, his pyramids, and the brothers, just the mindset that them brothers had to have was saying that, yo, give me 50-foot statue right here, right? This gonna be, the entrance to the gateway right here. But everything in their ego was also a part adding something to the collective. I think our egos are too small because it has nothing to do with building and seeing the world in our reflection. Right? So our egos is about more so taking over each other and being better than the next man or woman. Has nothing to do with, yo, I want a building that has my name on it, just to represent that I own this world. I want this world designed in my image, right? We don't have our egos in that direction. They're not connected to vision.
That's a good point, that you think the egos are not big enough. Because, see, we have a lot of captivity mindset, meaning when you're in captivity, when you're in jail, the main objective is to get something off the next inmate, to overpower him and get whatever he has in many cases. We don't think, let's get up out of this prison and build something besides this incarceration. Let's build something outside of this prison. So we do need a bigger ego.
Yeah, and I think that's also because when you look at the Hermetic prophecies, or what was it called, the Hermetic philosophies, and they were spreading that information on basically of why black people, you understand me, we're not an involved people, and that all of anything that we've done in Africa was from this Semitic presence, you understand me, that worked alongside, or Europeans were there to influence anything great that we did, and that they had to shrink.
This is what I was talking about, Shabaka. I'm good. You dodged the whole. You disappoint me, Shabaka. As an older person, I know you a sucker and stuff like that, but I thought you was smart. Bro, what are you doing with yourself, Shabaka, man? You're wasting your life, man. I gotta be
the image and the humanity of black people consistently so that they can validate slavery. So the more that they validated slavery and the larger it became, the more political it became as well. So they came up with all these systems of validation. Then you got the Aryan race theories and all of those things that started to come out. And what we live in is, and that played a part in how Africans started to see themselves, because that started to spread as people started to believe those theories well long after they were proven to be 100% false. So, but now we don't see ourselves big enough, right? We don't see the humanity in ourselves enough, right? The humanity in a black man that's from the hood, right? Or the humanity in a black woman, right? So now we have to get to this place first. We have to humanize ourselves again, right? And then we have to exalt ourselves.
And we have to understand the code words that's been used to hide our history.
Yeah.
As you pointed out, we don't see ourselves in the historic record because they tell us it was something to do with Europeans. When we look at ancient Kemetic history, when we look at movies now, they make all of the actors white, and they've been doing that really since Elizabeth Taylor and all of those people making the Egyptians white, and we know what they really look like. They look like black people now. Even black people who were going into Europe to help civilize European society, the Moors, they use words like Arab. When you hear the word Arab, you assume that they're talking about a pale-skinned person from the Middle East.
Yeah.
As we know, the Moors who civilized Europe, these were jet black people. The First Army came from the area that we now know as Senegal. Black people saved Europeans from themselves. They almost died out a couple of times in different plagues. The first plague was the Justinian plague, which wiped out about 80% of the European population. They literally almost died out. It was the Moors who went in there bringing alcohol and elixirs to save them. The Justinian plague stopped in the year 725. The Moors were there in 711. So a decade after the Moors arrived, all of the plagues went away. Look at some of the medicines that were used in Europe and used now. Look at the words, the root word, alcohol, alchemy. You mentioned alchemy. These are Islamic words that the Moors were bringing in. When we talk about alchemy, the white supremacists, they saw black people creating scientific entities. That was magic to them. They didn't know what that was. Alchemy was a mystery to them. That's why when they started coming over here, trying to translate those Moorish documents, they were trying to turn rocks into gold, and they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to process this stuff. So our history is real deep.
Yeah. I mean, shit. Just in a.
That's over their pay grade, man. I gotta be personally honest. It's possible to turn rock into gold, but I don't think I don't think Europeans can do it. So I'm just being personally honest. My man said these niggas were trying to turn rocks into gold. And shout out to the white supremacy. They be on this motherfucker too, but that shit is crazy. You right. Tariq Nasheed is out. No, you're babbling. Glummy. I mean, Shabaka, well, you one or the other. Shabaka, you're babbling. It's just, you got this hatred for black Americans, and it's sad, man. You remind me of Clarence Thomas. You give me Clarence Thomas energy. So it's. Or Sheriff Clark. You remember Sheriff Clark? Motherfucker was a sheriff in Texas, one of the parts of Texas, and that nigga used to talk crazy back in the days.
Gold aspect, that was something that there's so many different stories, and where you go into chemical science and they show how they utilize gold, right? And they believed it as to be an elixir of immortality. So they would ingest the gold in a powder form, right? And they had this alchemical process where they basically use electricity to do so. And they believed the gold to be this magic molecule, because during that process, they would see the gold spark, and they would say it would disappear for a split of a second and then reemerge. And they would ingest this powder to give them energy and electricity, right? And they believed that it was going to make them immortal, and it was used as an elixir of beauty as well, because it helps with the micro tears of the skin, because gold is a superconductor of electricity. We see this when I went to South Africa and I went to Adam's Calendar. It's one of the oldest megalithic sites in the world, said to be somewhere between 80 to 200,000 years old. Now, this calendar was supposed to chart the stars, and these mounds where these huge stones were built is all throughout South Africa, right? Well, particularly in that area. Now, most South Africans don't even know about this, right? But we went up there, and it was in a track of fog, and I felt like a lion was gonna pop out at me. I ain't gonna lie. I got these short African brothers with me. They will get ate up quick. Well, anyway, I went there, man, and you do feel the energy. So they literally measure, you understand me, the energy in that area, and it's higher there. So we grounded there, but what they was also saying is that this particular areas, they believe that it was used for, mining gold, right? But you got to ask, why would these people be mining gold that far back in time? They weren't wearing it as jewelry at that point, right? They were using it as, for tools, right? They were using it for ingestion. They were using it in all of these different processes.
As an energy source as well.
Right, because, we are the fathers of medicine. We are the fathers of chemistry. We are the fathers of all these sciences. So the African curiosity has always been there way before you get these new, so-called fathers of medicine, right? You got your Imhoteps, you have your Dogon people, you have us, with geometry and mathematics at points in time where you would have to ask, why did they need it? Because in his story, right, it doesn't fit, because you telling these people that they're primitive, right? They have no social hierarchy and they're not worth anything. But the reality of it is they spoke a language of geometry just as communication.
Yeah.
You understand me? The sophisticated language systems, whether it's clicking or whether you utilizing the tongues in Africa, has a higher vibration than what we speak in English, right? And so when you think about that, that even helps the formulation of our brains.
Like the thing too, I be joking around when niggas be clicking and popping and stuff like that. But he's telling the truth. But I just do that. I don't do that to be, malice. No, I don't do that out of malice. I do that just to be joking around and shit like that. But it is dope because it's a different form of way of talking. The click, 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 pop, pop, pop. You know how them niggas be talking? Like, yo, what's your name? Click, pop, click, 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 pop. And I know it sounds crazy what I say, but yeah, niggas be on that shit, man. It's a different wave site how he's saying it.
Great higher just by speaking a certain tonality better, right? And so we naturally were much further and progressed people. Even when you go into 1910s, 20s, coming out of Africa, we were more literate than anybody. Our thirst for education was higher than any people. White people were never banned from reading, but their literacy rates were terrible. So the propaganda that was spread throughout the newspapers was because they couldn't read them, so they put images in there. They had to portray us as less than, because that's how they communicated to the illiterate class of white folks that these niggas ain't worth nothing, right? And they had to consistently justify that.
And they started elementary schools because of black people, the freedmen schools. Those were the first public schools. And they saw how well they were doing, so they had to make those for white people.
And that goes towards the patent offices, right? Because when we talk about foundational Black Americans, our inventiveness is our most powerful thing, right? Now, during that time, of course, they wouldn't allow any African or slave to patent anything, right? So there was a particular story of this brother, he created this. It wasn't a particular cotton gin, but it was like a cotton scraper, right? And the white owner, he wanted to go patent it. But he told, now of course he couldn't claim that he made it because he was dumb. So he said that, yo, my slave made this. And they said, well, anything made by a slave can't be patented. So he started selling it without a patent. But what he did was key. He said that he was told that this is an African who made this. Because what he said was that this is proof.
I'm gonna say something on Code. I hope you're enjoying this with him because Shabaka's a sucker. Shabaka knows he's a sucker. Shabaka knows that he has no weight on the Bronze Reaper podcast. He whatever he says doesn't hold no weight. Afterward, Kwame violating this nigga and they're both Pan-African. That nigga Kwame said this nigga Shabaka was getting chased by dogs and getting beat up and spit on. So, and Shabaka was like, yo, he does make some great points. Shabaka has been a sucker ever since. So,
that slavery is not damaging the mind of the slave, because some of the philosophical and moral debate during that time was that it was damaging the mind of these Africans by keeping them in slavery. But he used our own invention as a form of validating slavery. Justification.
And we have, even though we couldn't get a patent while we were enslaved, we still, black people, have over 50,000 patents. We created almost everything in the house. The modern refrigerator, the modern toilet, the modern doorknob was created by foundational Black American. The light bulb. When they try to say that a Black person helped a white person, that means the Black person did it himself.
That's a fact.
The light bulb, Lewis Latimer was the one who really came up with it. He was working for Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison was infamous for stealing people's stuff.
That's a fact.
You work for me, anything you build, I own it.
Yeah.
A light bulb, they say, well, Lewis Latimer created the filament. That's the light bulb.
That's what did. That's the light bulb.
That's the light bulb. Other than the filament, it's a piece of damn glass.
Well, yeah, everything else is just design.
Right, it's a piece of glass. So he created the light bulb.
Yeah.
But they have to give credit to Thomas Edison, and the reason why the rumor that Lewis Latimer was able to create the light bulb. Remember, we were an agrarian people. We worked with the earth. Whatever we had to do with the ground, we had to come up with ways to make it more convenient for us. Black people would use cottonseed.
They're teaching us basically the Black race history. Not just Black America. He's talking about African history, African culture, Black culture, Black native culture, anything with the Black diaspora or Black genetics, they're teaching us about it.
And light it up to warm their hands. Cotton seeds are very flammable. If you look at videos on YouTube, you'll see people lighting cotton seeds. The cotton will burn and the grass won't get touched. So Lewis Latimer must have understood and watched these seeds burn for a long time. And he said, wait, what if I put this in a glass and see how this works? Bam. That's how we started coming up with stuff.
Think about how genius we were, because we were engineers.
Yes, we were.
Engineer is one of the studies that we go into the least now. But during our history in this country as slaves, right, our engineering feats and coming out of slavery is very high. Our inventiveness was very high. Today, we're not at building and producing people. But when you look at our history, we are, right?
The father of bioengineering is George Washington Carver.
Yes, sir.
He is the father of it. I want people to Google that. Google the father of bioengineering. Nobody was using stuff from the earth and transforming that into non-edible products.
That's a fact.
That brother was doing that first. See, they try to minimize George Washington Carver with he just made some peanut butter.
Yeah,
that brother,
no.
That brother created a whole bunch of stuff that was used by the army, by different corporations, and it's minimized.
It's super minimized. I mean, because when it's the same thing with Hannibal Barker. When you highlight certain aspects of history and you maximize it, you have to put his intelligence and his genius on par with how they say Einstein is.
Yes, indeed.
Right?
Yes, indeed.
Or any other their so-called great geniuses. Now, when you start giving these inventors and these engineers their just due, now you look at it and say, wait a minute, we actually have way more geniuses than you all. We actually have more inventors and more great engineers and have contributed way more. This is minuscule. This is the reason you want to highlight this as a celebrity, you know, a scientist or whatever, because if you highlight everybody on the equal playing field, your contribution is minimum. You understand me? At most. And the crazy thing about with Dr. Carver, you know, him being the master of nuts, is they cut off his nuts.
Yes, they did.
You understand me?
Yes, he was.
And just the idea of castration being a normal practice back then, right? Castrating a man so that he can get an education. Castrating a man so that he wouldn't touch one of your white women, right? Like, these are not things that we process when we think about America, right? So when we talk reparations, we're not just talking about slavery, because after slavery, those are things that need to be fixed as well.
Yes, indeed.
The land that was stolen from the amount of Black people in the South, right? The amount of laws that were created to stop us from building wealth, right? The amount of systematic things that are on the books by the FBI to overthrow, you know, organizations that was for the liberation of Black people in America. These are things that are owed reparations for as well. This don't just end at you took off the chains in 1865, right? This is something that continues on to today, to where we look at police, you know, terrorism and brutality throughout this country and say, every year of, the history of, you know, these slave catchers, now known as police officers, there was some brutal act unjustly committed against black people in America.
Yes.
And there has to be reparations, but they know that it's an expense that they don't want to put on them books.
Also, they have a problem with reparations too, because when they start giving reparations, which we're going to make them give it at some point,
Yeah.
they're going to find out the real number of black people in America. I think we're way more than just 12, 13%. We're highly undercounted over here.
Yeah, it feels like it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, what they do is they always move the goalposts. So now what qualifies as black changes. That's why
Right,
now there's
right.
a movement of mixed,
Yeah.
right? And all of these different things, because they don't want people to be locking in on that consensus, because now that clock that's already running out because they don't have enough births is going quicker and quicker and quicker. Right, so the new consensus of Arabs being white and all these people being able to qualify, yes, now Hollywood is pushed behind the mechanism.
That's where they fucked up at. I think America fucked up when they started making certain people white. Like Latinos can be considered white, Arabs can be considered white, Asians can be considered white. They fucked up. And the thing about it, white America is starting to figure out, because you know what? They brought Asians over here to undermine black Americans, say like, well, Asians can do it, why can't y'all do it? And they fucked up because Asians are considered white. So it's your fucking fault, man.
Hollywood has an 100% agenda. There's no, if you believe that Hollywood and the military industrial complex and the CIA and the government don't have a relationship, then you lost,
Yes, indeed.
right? This is a history, right, of production and propaganda specifically used as a tool. When anything that can be used for power will be used for power. So when the TV come about, the radio come about, the power structure says, okay, well, how can we use this? Because mass amounts of people are being programmed by this. They will never allow a tool that has that much control to just be in the hands of the people. It has to be centralized forms of power.
Well, that's why the internet was created. The internet was created, and a lot of folks don't know this, really in the 1960s to keep tabs on black militant groups. You from the Bay, well, you came up in the Bay. The Bay Area is a very interesting place.
Yeah,
Because,
from Oakland.
yeah, from the town. There's a reason why you have so many hustlers, riders, and intellectuals
Yes, sir.
in that area. See, that's the most important thing. You got some dudes that'll take your head off, but he's also a very smart dude.
That's a fact.
They've always had smart hustlers who were thorough, independent, and that spirit came about in the Bay
That's a
Area
whole
in
fact,
particular
too.
because you had a lot of the car porters in the Bay Area, the train porters. That was a big station of train porters. And Oakland in the Bay Area, the trains would go all over the country, and the Bay Area was a major stop from the south, from the north, from all over the place. So black people were working as car porters. So black people would go all over the country and just get game and get information and get dances and cultural things and get stock tips, get weapons information, and bring that to the Bay. And they would share that information. So that's why in the Bay, a lot of dances came out of the Bay. A lot of folks don't know that. A lot of the boogaloo dancing, there's a lot of hip hop dances
you
came
talking
out of
some
the
history
Bay.
now, man.
Yeah, this is real talk. That's why so much stuff came out of the Bay. So many radicals came out of the Bay. So many intellectuals came out of the Bay because of those car porters bringing all of that information there.
Yeah, and them lineages of family.
Shout out to the Bay in Oakland, man. Y'all was doing y'all things, man, back in the days. Y'all still doing y'all thing now, man. Y'all still got great people. Asians are Asians, like, no. They consider themselves white now. Nigga, I got a baby mother that's Cambodian, my nigga. I know, nigga. I pressed her on that shit. I pressed her on that shit. Y'all gotta understand, I was raised in the projects. Projects in the hood sometimes, but mostly the project. That's where most of my family is from. I was with my cousins. My cousins is the shit, but this is, I be pressing people. This is why, yo, Shabaka, you're in a situation now on this show because of me. Nigga, you think let me tell you something. You think because I know you and Kwame are like in cahoots or probably the same person, that you don't think I could turn y'all niggas against each other, nigga. I got you copping please right now, my nigga. I got you out your soul, nigga. I got you out your body right now, nigga. Don't sit here and don't act like, yo, I'm used to this shit. I'm not used to this shit. I'm used to this. I'm a vet in this Shabaka. Getting people out there, yo, antagonizing niggas. I got you, yo. I got you mad right now, my nigga, because Kwame disrespect you, nigga. And you don't even know how to answer the question. You answered the question with peace, nigga. After the nigga just disrespected you, your own brother disrespect you, my nigga. Your own Pan African brother. You already turned on Dr. Umar. This nigga's damn near. This nigga's a step away of doing fucking OnlyFans right now. You turned on the nigga.
Is actually very strong. Like you get certain areas, and I just came from Detroit, and you know Detroit, they like Bay Area twins, man. They like Oakland
Yes,
twins.
indeed.
You
Yes,
feel me?
indeed.
But when I look at that, you know Detroit, that's where the Nation of Islam was started, right? In that black bottle, right? He went to the poorest of the poorest and gave them consciousness, and it changed the dynamic of that whole city. Then when you go look at Oakland, right? You got, of course, not only the Black Panthers, you had your Black Muslim Bakery and a multitude of other different groups that came out of that, right? And then when you go look at, you know, all of the cities right now that has the highest rates of crime and that now has the highest levels of poverty, these were once central Renaissance hubs of consciousness,
Yes, they were.
right? For Black liberation and empowerment and community. And all of those areas were specifically targeted because of what was being brought out.
Yeah.
Right, so now you see them as some of the worst places, but you have to understand that that was done to destroy those families.
Yes, it was.
That was done to destroy that lineage. They couldn't handle having this generation of families who have this strong intellectual prowess and this warriorship, and they challenge.
No. There are some Cambodians that consider themselves white. Yes, they do, Shabaka. You cannot sit there and lie about that. You cannot sit there and lie about that. There are some people who consider themselves black because at the end of the day, some of these Cambodians are darker than black people. That's why I told you all the time, you can't just use that narrative that, oh yeah, we are African, because they're considered Africans too because they got that African genetics. Now this is where shit gets funky, Shabaka. Again, genetics is crazy because everybody has African genetics. They might not have a lot of it, but they have enough of it. They have enough of it, but those people who have enough of it still consider themselves white, Shabaka, because of their ethnicity or their nationality. I'm being personally honest, Shabaka.
No, power. The families rule the world, right? And imagine if left untouched, you have generations of young Black Panthers children. You understand me? That, you know, are allowed to thrive and gain resources and wealth and influence. What does that look like today? Right? It's the same thing if you got that same central hub in Detroit. What does that look like today? So you have to cut off, right, that before, because they have foresight. They're always thinking of the future. They always want to ruin, not to ruin, but to own time.
Yeah.
Right? So they say, no, we can never allow an age where we have a lineage of charismatic, intellectual, masculine, right, Black men that have resources and that are able to, you know, sway the people in their way, because that would be something impossible to stop.
Exactly. That's why, that was the real reason they went after the Black Panthers up there, because the gun thing, they didn't trip on the gun thing. What they were tripping on was that free damn breakfast program.
Oh, yeah.
That was the real threat, because now if you can feed a people, you can lead a people, and that's the foundation of nation building. That's when they started getting targeted, and they had to really wipe those brothers and sisters out. And they were feeding the community. They wipe out the Black Panthers, and then the U.S. government adopts the free breakfast program. That's when they said there was no free breakfast program in this country for Black Panthers at all. In fact, there's so many other things that we created. Paramedics in this country, EMTs, the first EMTs were Black people in Philadelphia, in Pittsburgh. There were no EMTs. When you got shot or somebody ran you over, the morgue would come pick you up, or the police would come throw you in a paddy wagon and take you to a hospital. You didn't have EMTs working on people on the way to the hospital. There was a group called the Freedom House Ambulance Company that were all black people. They were trained by some white doctors who were
Shout out to the EMTs too, man.
trying to experiment with this thing. They were the ones doing the trial and error of EMT work in this country, and that's been varied. So we pioneered so many things in this country as Trump.
Yeah, it's really a list that's infinite because no matter, you go talk computer chips, you go talk street lights, you go talk all of these things, and you go find our blueprint there.
Always.
And now what we produce now, we're at this forefront, and to our credit, because when we say we don't have nothing now, it's not that we didn't do anything.
Right.
It's that it was stolen from us, right? So this whole thing that black people are lazy, we don't produce none, is actually not true at all. It's the most counter narrative ever. White people have the privilege of wealth from doing nothing, besides creating unfair legislation and laws that stopped us from doing it so that they can build middle classes for themselves, right, and upper class and things of that nature. But there's no gift or talent or education, and they're not just better financially literate or have some great work ethic. No, it's because it was literally built off the backs of our people.
And what they like to do too, they like to get other non-white groups, and when they come and build whatever they build, they say, well, look at this group.
Yeah.
They just came here from Asia somewhere. They just came here from the Caribbean or wherever, and they built something, and you guys didn't build nothing here.
Yeah.
The Arabs came over here. They were from a war-torn country, and look, they got a store. What they don't tell you is that these other groups are not targeted.
That's a fact.
Like us. We've always been targeted. When we get a stronghold on something and we get financial success, it's almost inevitable that we get targeted.
Yeah.
When we have businesses like our brother Nipsey, Nipsey has a successful store, all of a sudden, a random hater shows up and gets in broad daylight. You dig?
Yeah.
Who just happened to be an informant.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to the Black Wall Streets. These black people are millionaires building these phenomenal businesses. All of a sudden, they're dropping bombs.
And Nipsey Hussle, shout out to Ohio, salute. And also, Nipsey Hussle's father was from Africa, but he was raised foundational Black Americans by his mother. But the thing about it, he always supported Black empowerment. He always talked about Black empowerment, Black Americans, because he knew what he was 10 toes down when he talked about Black American history. He talked about his father's history, but he talked about all the great things that Black people always do. He even talked about Dr. Sebi, and I don't even think Dr. Sebi was a Black American, I don't understand if you agree with Black Americans getting reparations or not. He don't agree with it. He agrees with Black Americans going to Africa and helping Africans. That's what Shabaka agrees with.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
nobody gets targeted like we do.
And that happened to 60 plus towns after that. So
indeed.
Our story is not told. Our story is one where we're constantly growing, we're constantly building, we're constantly developing, we're constantly working, and then we're constantly opposed.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, this generation ain't got nothing. It's no. This generation's family built everything, and everything was stolen from them. And now this generation didn't inherit none of the brilliance, none of the great things that we should have, because we should see a billionaire family right from all of our inventors. So if you take a list of the 1,000 things that we invented that are common in society today, you should see a lineage of wealth directly connected to that, right? But there is no patent wealth because we weren't able to trademark and license and copyright and patent, right? There's no extreme land wealth. We had land, but also they stole, so much land was stolen from the government because we didn't know how to set up, right, our wills and our trust and things of that nature.
And to build on that, when you look at a lot of Black celebrities who got a lot of money, notice how it's not really passed down to another generation. Look at some of the big superstars. Michael Jackson, who's this stuff passed down to? It's like some white kids kind of fighting over it now.
That's a fact.
Look at Prince. Prince stuff is in probate right now. They're still fighting over his stuff. Nobody knows who's going to get that. Look at some of these athletes out here. Who are they really passing their stuff down to? I mean, we really just started getting large amounts of money, especially in sports and entertainment, really.
This is why I always told. This is why I told you the situation. I was like, even though my kids is black because they came from me, I can't keep my kids all my stuff. I can't because at the end of the day, I don't want my kids giving my shit off to some white man's family or some white woman's family or some immigrant's family and like leaving my culture in the shitter. This is why I watch my kids. This is why I train my kids to do stuff properly. I mold my kids to being great. Because if you want to be great, you're not going to be great and give my shit off to somebody else. Then it just goes down and get passed on to some white family that just came up on my kids. Nah, nigga, we ain't doing that. Mm-mm. If it was going to be like that, I'd rather just give you a lump sum of money and call it a day. I'm not going to give you my properties. I'm not going to give you my enriched stuff. I rather, and this is why I always tell people all the time, sooner or later, I'm just gonna have people just have kids for me. And I just raise them to be as they're supposed to be. You know? I'm just being personally honest. It's much easier. Like I love my kids and stuff like that, but I want them to be great. But I don't want you to be no fucking rebel and fuck my shit up. Then when I ask you what the fuck you done with my shit lately, I gave it to the white community. I gave it to the people of color. Nigga, the people of color, nigga. Are you serious? I gave it to the minorities. Nigga, you gave my shit to white women, nigga. Nigga, are you crazy? Nah, we ain't doing we're not doing that. No. This is why this is why I always tell people all the time, you gotta be careful with the people who got my mixed kids. Like even my kids, I'm very cautious around my kids because I train my kids. Yo, nigga, you're not this. You're black. Oh, I'm brown. No, you're black. How am I black? Black is a culture, baby. You're a black American. Oh, I'm not African. You're black American. Your lineage came from America. You're from the South. Your family's from the South. Name one person you know from Africa that's your cousin. There you go. Your family haven't been in Africa in thousands of years.
In the last 40 years. You understand?
I think LeBron is the only candidate to
Right,
pass
man.
down, LeBron and Jay-Z,
Right.
to pass down a massive amount, a lump sum of wealth to a generation that will inherit it that are two black parent households.
Right.
You understand me?
Right.
Which is very rare.
Right.
Very
Right.
rare. Because if you
Right.
look at the rest, there's none.
Right.
Right?
Whitney Houston. We saw what happened with her. She had one daughter, daughter died. You see? Where's
Yeah.
that money now?
Yeah.
You see, we see this all across the board. Oprah, no kids. Where's that money going to go? You see,
Yeah, because you can get as much as you are not a threat. You can be a trillionaire if you don't have anybody to pass it down to.
Right.
This is a lifetime of wealth. It's not generational.
Right.
Generational wealth is where you start to see the DuPonts, right? You start to see, you know, the Waltons, right? You see the JP Morgan family. That's generational wealth that is passed down, inheriting industries that we utilize today every single day that we don't think about.
And that's the threat. See,
Yes.
when you get a fresh new generation that's going to start off with all of that, that's threatening because, see, with an Oprah, you can control Oprah. You see, you can control an entertainer. You can threaten him with his career. But you give $100 million to some new kid, I'll do what the hell I want.
Shabak is from Africa. Don't listen to that nigga. Nah, he's lying. He's from Africa. Shabaka, stop lying. Have some honor.
They
They could be radical.
They can be real radical.
Yeah.
You dig? So
Speaking
cut
of,
that off.
how come a lot of people, you know, I seen skits on HBO. I see sometimes, you know, political pundits, they poke at you. They always throw your name in the pot. And they synonymize it with Hotep. But Hotep, of course, is not a bad thing
Not
in the
that
first
word,
place.
but they use it as a pejorative.
Right. They weaponize Hotep. But what is it about Tariq Nasheed, you know, that the mainstream, right, black Americans don't like? And because I believe they see Tariq Nasheed, you know, as a leader, right?
Which I always say,
This is a question. Shabaka, this is going to answer your question. Why you don't like Tariq Nasheed? He's going to answer your question. Now let's pay attention now, Shabaka.
I believe they see Tariq Nasheed, you know, as a leader, right?
which I always say I'm not.
Right.
You know?
And you have influence, but a lot of people have influence.
Right.
But Tariq Nasheed influence is directly connected to the root of consciousness in Black America because you educated so many people, right? So your opinion matters where you sway people.
Right.
Right.
And that the reason they have a problem with me in particular, especially around political season like now, but even outside of political season, there's always jabs being thrown at me. The whole narrative is to kind of discredit me. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me.
Right.
Don't listen to me. The reason why is because I'm one of the few people who can talk to an intellectual audience. I've done lectures at Yale before. You know, I can talk to an intellectual crowd, but I can also get down in the streets and talk to the G's.
Yes, sir.
And most people can't do that.
That's a fact.
That's the thing, and that's a problem to them. People like Malcolm X could do that. You know, there's a few people who.
Yo, Shabaka, can you do that? I'm sorry, Shabaka. I had to do it, man. You set yourself up for that shit. You set yourself up for that shit. But yo, Shabaka, you can't do it. You can't be jealous of Tariq Nasheed for doing that, man. You gotta get your weight up, man. You know how many times I told you to come on this show and spread your knowledge, say what you wanted to say, try to even try to discredit me. I have let you. I have said, yo, email me, and you know what? You could say whatever you want to say, and I would not overtalk you nor talk. I'll ask you some questions, but I won't say you're right or wrong.
can do that, but that's really rare. And
Yeah.
they don't like that. They look at you as a threat when you can talk to the intellectual crowd and they're listening to you.
Yeah.
And you can talk to not just the grassroots, but the street dudes are
Yeah.
listening to you. Because they look at the street cats as soldiers.
Yeah.
You see? They look at them like somebody gives them a cue. They can be galvanized and they can do whatever.
Yeah.
So they've always looked at that as somewhat of a threat.
And I can understand that, especially with the way the narratives and the agendas are lined up today.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're no longer pushing strong black men in positions of political power.
Right.
Right. Now, the new tool is let's find a black woman to push up in political power. Right. And it seems great. It always seems great. It always seems, like, okay, behind this is women empowerment. Right. But what is the reality of their political consciousness?
Right.
And are they for our people? Because it's one thing to stand in front of the people, to throw about significant dates in black history, to gaslight us, to connect with us. It's another thing to get in that office and do some shit that's radical.
Absolutely. And you notice when they get these black women
Yeah.
to be in these political positions, they always make sure that that black woman has a white mate. Even if she's LGBT, Lori Lightfoot out of the Chicago area, white. Kamala Harris, white zaddy. The Supreme Court lady, Ketanji Brown, white zaddy. You see? That's not by accident.
Yeah.
They understand who you lay up with, especially as a woman.
Yeah.
You're laying up with a man. You're going to take on that man's ideology.
That's a fact.
That's just human nature.
Yeah.
So they understand that these are proxies for the white supremacist male when they get these women who's laying up with these people in the dominant society. So what are they really going to do for black people? Nothing.
You said a lot right there, brother. I ain't had to say it.
Yeah.
No, but that's a very key. And what I want people when they listen, number one, I want you to try to get out your feelings for a second. And I want you to think critical about reality and what we're saying. and why we're saying it, right? And ask yourself, what is the vision you want for Black America? One of the things that we don't have.
So I'll tell everybody why Kwame is mad. Kwame is mad. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you why Kwame's mad at both 19 Keys and Tariq Nasheed. So there was a show that I did. You remember the show, right, Kwame? When we was doing the Pan African. Are they part of the CIA? And we so we did a show and he was the thing about it, Kwame was on a roll. That's revenue, everybody. If you watch the Tariq Nasheed podcast or the Tariq Nasheed radio, that's revenue. Kwame is revenue. Um he always shows love on my show, so he is divisive, but he always shows love on my show. He won't admit that. And he would say, and he brought up some evidence. 19 Keys had evidence that Pan African movement was funded by the CIA. They had a headquarters in Lagos, Lagos, Nigeria. And Kwame got mad, Shabaka got mad, and them motherfuckers never let me live this day down ever since. Ever since. When I say they troll me probably like 75% of my shows. So right, Shabaka and Kwame, y'all troll me, y'all give me a hard time 75% of my shows. And like I said, I appreciate it because it's an honor for having y'all, it's an honor to have y'all to even watch my show and to participate. Even get like donations. It's an honor that y'all do give donations to all my hard work. Cause like I said, it goes back into the fucking podcast. So everything I do, everything that I have, I usually just work and just spend money on, and it's an honor that y'all do give me money and I just put it to my show because it makes things a little bit more easier for me to get equipment that I need, do the media projects and stuff. So yeah, like I said, thank y'all for everything. Shout out to DJ X1. Salute. What it do, family? I'm in the building right now. Yeah, man. Salute. I was telling him the story when Kwame and Shabaka crashed out on me because 19 Keys showed evidence that this Pan African movement was funded by the CIA. And, and they never let me live it down ever since. Salute to American freemen. Where is this interview? It's on YouTube. It's a good interview. It's like 2.5 hours. We're halfway through it right now, so yeah.
That we need more of is a vision, right? Because a vision
So we can
aligns
watch
us.
this part
And
to
then
this beginning.
You said a lot right there, brother. I ain't had to say it.
Yeah.
No, but that's a very key. And what I want people when they listen, number one, I want you to try to get out your feelings for a second. And I want you to think critical about reality and what we're saying and why we're saying it, right? And ask yourself, what is the vision you want for Black America? One of the things that we don't have and that we need more of is a vision, right? Because a vision aligns us. And we can easily say, okay, you're with this and you're against this.
Why do you think we have not had a vision?
I think that every time we had a vision, it's been
CIA.
opposed by the U.S. government, specifically the FBI.
Right.
They made it their job. I think that every time we had a vision, it's been opposed by the U.S. government, specifically the FBI.
Right.
They made it their job that any Black man or woman that created some sort of constitution, some sort of vision, was killed, was defamed, right, was put into some situation where that vision in the minds of the people was destroyed. Because they understand how powerful it is that if you give a focused Black man a vision, You understand me? You give his helpmate, a black woman, that same vision. It is almost impossible to stop those people from bringing that into a reality. We have such a powerful consciousness, right? The heart, vibrates more voltages of electricity, more magnifying power than the brain, right? But when you get a vision, it's something that you feel. You're connected to it emotionally.
Right.
So right now, our vision is being steered through programming on social media, on TV, through movies, through music. It's writing the narratives of our image because they know how to weaponize our vision for them.
Yes.
If I can train you up in the academia of my history, if I can train you up like the same I was watching Hidden Figures yesterday, if I take the most brilliant black women that you have and I'll weaponize them for our propaganda and I'll fight against.
Yeah, Kwame be clowning. Yeah. he stood there like me, yo. I don't think he forgave me for that video that I put. And you know what, Kwame? You was trolling Miss Ursula too. You remember that day, man? You know, to this day, I still watch that episode, Kwame, with you and Shabaka, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa! I was like, yo, I didn't make the video. He made. Whoa, whoa! I had my hands up, man. I felt like Brandon, what's his name, Tatum. I was like, whoa, whoa. Nah, it's Kwame. It's known facts, man.
Russian, which matters not to the liberation of your people, but now I give them trophy. Now I'll give them position. Now they no longer see themselves as black. They see themselves in a higher class. They see themselves as rich, right? They see themselves as everything else than black last. So what they understand is not only how to destroy a vision, but how to use the people who have a powerful ability to bring vision into reality, right? Because now they may have started something, but you're going to help us finish it.
Right.
You understand me? Most of when you see those, memes out there, some little black kid took the Mensa test and he's smarter than Einstein. What is he going to do with that intelligence?
Right.
He's going to a white academia. So they understand the power of our collective brain trust and the power of our ability to manifest things into existence at a high level. So they make sure that, number one, the mind of...
Yo, that's crazy. And I'm going to say this to everybody who wants to do something. Yo, y'all got to really manifest that shit. You really got to, like, talk it, think it, walk it, everything. You got to manifest that shit. Yo, let me tell you who told me that shit. My uncle. My uncle who just got out of jail. He did, like, 10 years. But he's, like, super smart. Yo, when I say he's super smart, like, yo, this motherfucker could have been anything. Anything. Like, all jokes aside. Like, right now, when he got out of jail, he was going to go fill out an application. And you know what he's saying? He's like, fuck that. I'm not doing this. He does day trading now. He does what Kwame does, but he does it on a higher level. Like, once he got out of jail, he went to go. He's like, yo, you think I should go buy a computer? I was like, yo, go buy a computer. He's like, yo, what type of computer? So I was like, only thing I know is Apple products. That's all I know is Apple products. And he's like, yo, when I was in jail, he's like, yo, for the last year and a half, he's like, yo, for the last 9 years, I've been reading every book that I can read about day trading, stocks and bonds, everything. He said he was even studying, it was a tech analyst. This nigga was getting busy when he was in jail. He was looking at shit, how it was worked and stuff like that. Now he's out of jail, like, yo, he makes crazy money. He makes crazy money a week. That's why Kwame, when you was telling me about day trading and how much you make a week, I was like, damn. I was like, Kwame, you could probably make a little bit more than that. But my uncle does AI. You do tech stocks. I mean, you do tech day trading. So yo, you get busy. I know Kwame. That's why I knew a little bit about what you was doing and stuff. Like, I'm about to start getting into it. I'm still doing like little simulations of like how much money I want to spend, how much I want to get busy with, because there's some that, and I'm just talking about day trading. There's some shit that you can leave in there for like 2 weeks to a year. But there's some shit that you should take out, like you got to look at it for hours. Just pay attention. Sometimes you just got to pull this shit out. And you can't be emotional about it. Sometimes you just gotta go take a fucking walk and come back and like, okay, yo, let me get busy. Let me use this one. You know, so day trading is dope. Salute to Kwame with that, because you know on my other podcast, I'm gonna actually have him talk about that shit and see. I want Kwame to influence that how to do the day trading with people and stuff. You know, and like I said, I don't think Kwame's great at this Pan African shit, but the day trading, Kwame gets busy. You know, Kwame gets busy on that, and that's why I say salute to Kwame when it comes to that.
The brown man or woman
That's just
stays
my opinion
distracted.
too.
You have to know what's going on in the celebrity world. You have to know all of these things that are not an asset to you. 100% of most of the information you have is a liability to you, because the energy that you're using to look over here, you're distracted for what you could be building over here.
And you just made a good point. When you get a little black kid who happens to show genius tendencies, white society will get that kid and separate him.
Yeah.
You separate them from the herd.
Yes.
So we don't let you use that genius for your own people.
Exactly, but we are a very magical people, man. The magic that we have is powerful. We can literally just thread things into existence.
Yeah.
Our creativity, our consciousness, our dance, our expression, right? Our spiritual innovation allows us to, you know, be alchemists. We still utilize that power of voodoo. We still call things into existence, but sometimes we don't know, you know, how we did it, right? Some of us are acting where we're just talented and we're just naturally gifted at production, at manifestation, at alchemy, at all of these things, but there's no standard to be like, yo, this is what you're tapping in. Because now you become a master on earth. You understand me? Now you at this highest level, ain't nobody can do nothing with you. And there's a few of us that tap in.
So if y'all want any information on day trading, Kwame, I guess if he could throw his email on here, he'll throw his email on it and he'll get busy. Or if you want to throw your email on it, throw your email on it and he'll get it and he'll email you.
Into that thread. And once you know your power, they start calling you ignorant. They start calling you cocky. They call you a narcissist. They call you everything, but they never call you unsuccessful, because what you're doing is working. When we look at Kanye West and we look at the propaganda that he puts out, he learned to tap into their systems. He learned the power of propaganda, the power of design. He learned the golden ratio. He understands the mathematics of how to create things in certain proportions and how to produce success from your ideas that you have. Because they tapped into our systems when we were building pyramids, when we were building structures and temples, and when we were creating machines. And they said, well, damn, all we got to do, we ain't got to create nothing. We just need to learn they systems, right? And then go build our own world.
And you just reminded me of something, them tapping into our systems. When I was in Haiti, and even when I go to New Orleans, you know, mostly white people study voodoo. White people will learn voodoo before we do.
That's a fact.
They'll scare us. You go to some of those voodoo priestesses, there's white people in there trying to get the game.
Oh, when I went to South Africa, I went to a bookstore out there, and it was a white woman in the back. She's doing like readings and like all of this stuff, and I'm looking at the books, and it's like all Aleister Crowley books on the wall. You understand me? And this is in South Africa, right? All black people, and most people don't know who Aleister Crowley is, and they can look him up. You're right, because then you start to understand, you know, and he was a fraud, right? But most people utilize and think of him as higher than he really what is. But that system is something that they take serious, right? That ability, that Luciferian system, that ability to turn the people backwards, right? Because this is what they did with us. They put a spell on our entire culture. Everything that is good, that is bad, we think is good. Everything is good, we think bad, right? Our whole vision is backwards, so it sends us backwards. So we prop people up for killing in our culture, right? If you kill in our culture, you become a hero. If you save somebody in our culture, you're not seen as a hero, right? Like you Captain Save them. You know what I'm saying? Like, so saviorism is not actually celebrated in our culture. Martyrism is, right? If you die for us, then we can give you credit. Maybe you meant what you said, but if you are a leader that lives a long time, no, you must be a sellout. You must be a fraud because you believe that this God is actually more powerful, right, than the God of good. So why would and most people don't even understand that this is the mindset. So we eat bad foods and we think that this is our best way of celebrating life.
Right.
Like, you only get one life, so why not treat yourself terrible? This is all backwards thinking.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of
yes.
backwards thinking and Aleister Crowley, you reminded me, a lot of people talked about the rumors of him being connected with the music industry, and Aleister Crowley would, and some other higher ranking people in the music industry would put hit messages in records, and you play the records backwards and you would hear these messages.
Yes.
They would put them in Beatles records.
Right.
And they said that that's what Charles Manson was listening to when he did the Helter.
I heard the Bone Thugs and Harmony album. The one meet me at the no. They said if you look at that the joint in a mirror, it'll tell you something, and then you do some foul violating shit. Some demon will get in your soul. I don't know how true it is because I never tried it. I won't try it. It's just, yeah, that shit it's true, man. Y'all can't be fucking around with. That's why I used to have these kids because I used to do adolescence as taking care of them and stuff. There was this girl doing Wicked, and I had to explain to her, like, yo, you can't fuck with that shit. That's black culture. The shit that you're fucking with is black culture. And you might get something inside to you that you cannot get fucking out. I said, stop playing with that shit. Oh, how you know? I was like, yo, I used to have a great grandmother that used to fuck with that shit. Well, great grandmother that used to fuck with that shit. She used to put curses on people and stuff like that. I was like, don't fuck with that. That shit is real.
The whole,
Yeah.
So all of that stuff ties in.
Yeah, because that all goes to Alan Turing, right? Him creating those algorithm machines that, helped them win the war against the Germans, right? Because they was able to decode the messages that the Germans were sending. So Alan Turing was their genius, but he was also homosexual, so they never celebrated him, right? But he is essentially said to be, the Turing machine and how to use it is the father of like algorithm and the philosophy and the thesis of AI, artificial intelligence. So they went on to use, some of that same thesis when they started creating MK Ultra and things of that nature, which is the CIA mind control projects. And so, when you got these projects that's being led out, some were carried out in San Francisco and Oakland and different places.
The Bay Area has had a lot of experimental things happen up there.
Yes, and they was dropping them people off. So when you see the modern product of a city, you have to say, what was the history of things that created the culmination, right? You don't see it in Iowa or Ohio, but in certain conditions.
Didn't I tell y'all he was going to say that, everyone? Didn't I tell you what Shabaka was going to say? He keeps on saying my mother is Benin or Beninese. Beninese they don't do countries in Beninese. Benin. They do tribes, man. They do tribes. Real talk, Shabaka. How about this? When I get my reparations, we'll see if I'm Beninese or not, all right?
The cities, there was certain experimentation that was being ran, and a lot of these patients and people were just being dropped off over there as well.
After the radical 1960s, we don't know how thorough some of these militant groups were. You had black militant groups like the Black Liberation Army doing a lot of work up there in the Bay, down here, all over the country. The dominant society had to figure out, we got to do something about these aggressive black men.
Yeah.
So in the early 70s, the streets started to get flooded with psychotropic drugs, all of this acid and LSD and Sherm and all of this stuff. That's when that became real big. Mid to late 70s, crack cocaine came out of the Bay. Tootie Reese was a drug dealer out here. He got the formula from crack and brought it down here. That's how it got popping, because they were experimenting with making it up there. It's real heavy stuff. So they were deliberately putting this stuff in the streets at a very specific time for a very specific purpose.
At the height of consciousness, specifically political consciousness as well.
Yeah.
If you see people being militarized, they become political, they become nationalized, now they're a threat, now they're a problem. Because now you can see the future. I see where these people are headed, and I don't like it because they're getting more organized.
Yeah.
So how do you fractionalize the people? You put them on drugs that detaches them from reality. Right now they have no linear thinking. Right now they can't make decisions. So they never gonna tap into that mind of God again. So, you know, when you have a faction of the government who does programs to literally see if they can create psychics and mind control and create these assassins with keywords, and they're utilizing you know, frequencies and all of these different things. Like they was trying to see if they can make a person attracted to the same sex during those times.
Yep.
This is not opinionated based things. This is stuff you can go study that is historical record. And during that time, it was printed in the newspaper, right? So this was stuff that you could imagine if that's printed in the newspaper today, that CIA says that they run in a mind control program, right? It probably would get dismissed because we so used to things now, but during that time, people were in uproar about certain things. That was the difference, is people actually were in uproar about things that the government did. Now, we accept everything.
Exactly. And now they've normalized it so much, they'll just put it in the music industry now. They'll just have people, instead of giving you a mind control or using some kind of propaganda, they'll get people to rap the shit now.
Yeah.
So if you look at music now, they promote heavy drug use now. And smoke weed, do mollies, do all. And when we have people high and whacked out of their mind, they're not going to fight white supremacy.
Oh, no. They fighting demons that don't even exist.
Exactly. Exactly.
Crack, heroin, PCP, right? Ketamine, ADHD, what people utilize, Adderall. Man, these are all kind of drugs out there that people utilize. Liquor.
Let me ask you a question, Shabaka. Why you gotta be from Harlem and I can't be from Georgia and Alabama? That's where my family's from. I gotta be some type of generic African. Them niggas don't even like me, Shabaka. Those Africans don't like me. I'm being personally, even if I was African, let's play your hypotheticals. I know you and Kwame love hypotheticals. Let's say I was half Beninese. I still wouldn't fuck with them. Them niggas don't like me. They don't like black Americans. They don't like half black black Americans. So why would I fuck with them? Africans don't like black people. They don't.
Don't even know it.
That's a fact.
So they flossing too hard. And when you floss too hard, that makes you lunch. All these Europeans started to see all of that wealth that he had, and Africa became a lunchbox. They said, we got to get our weight up and get over there and get all that.
Yeah.
Right after he did that, Africa became a target. So right in the 1400s, they had their eyes on Africa. Henry the Navigator, we got to go get that. We over here starving, and these niggas run around here with all this gold.
Yeah.
We getting that. So they started to tool up, and that's when they started exploiting Africa. So that was a gift and a curse. Sometimes you can be generous, but don't floss. He was flossing a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's been our problem. See, I like to look at our history and see where we went right.
Right.
Where did we go wrong? Flossing. We got to hold back the flossing. White people know not to floss. White people, they'll be sitting up here in a dirty t-shirt and some dirty shoes, and that will be a billionaire.
That's
you don't even know it.
That's a fact.
So they learn. They know. We ain't trying to show you everything we got.
Yeah.
The minute we get something, we got to go buy a big watch and a big chain and a big old car to let everybody know that
That's
we got
a
it.
fact.
The white boy would do the exact opposite. I've been in rooms with billionaires, and it looks like a homeless shelter. You don't even know who's who or who's doing what, but they do not floss. They know better.
Yeah, that's a lesson, man. We could have learned, what was his name, Frank White? Frank Lucas. Yeah, man. Somebody would have told him about Mansa Musa, man. He might have learned the lesson early.
Wearing that fur coat to that fight. Also, trying to be in the spotlight. Going back to the drug dealers, Nicky Barnes. When Nicky Barnes got on the cover of the New Yorker magazine, that was the beginning of the end for that whole clique out there.
Yeah.
He was a drug dealer. For those who don't know, Nicky Barnes was a Harlem drug dealer. Everybody knew he was a drug dealer, and somebody asked him to be on a magazine cover, and he did it to floss. And when he did that, all the RICO charges, everything started coming down on him. So
Also, there's something else, you know. I remember when you was on your way to the UK,
Yeah.
and there's a ban on you,
Yeah.
right? So it's two things I want to get into right there, because now that you know the Queen has met her demise, a lot of people have a hard time reconciling the history of the royal family and the things that they did, right, towards colonialism, and them as colonizers, right, and determining what was their history as far as the ugly history of the royal family, right, and then how they separate the Queen as being so-called innocent from that history, even though she's been the longest proclaimed reigning, right, a royal leader in the world. So, you know, number one, how did you get banned from the UK, man? How did you get banned from a whole country? The only person I know was the first Mr. Farrakhan.
Yep.
And now you.
Yeah, we were doing Hidden Colors 5, and we were screening them all over the country, and me and my lady were about to hop on a plane, and right when we got on the plane, American Airlines came with a note. They were like, Mr. Nasheed, you can't go to the UK. I'm like, really? Why is that? Well, you're banned, and if we take you over there, the airline is going to be sued. Like, what? Like, yeah, you can't go to the UK. So I had to get on the phone, call them, like, why am I banned? And they would say, well, your presence is not conducive to the safety of Britain. I'm like, what does that mean? That's a real vague.
Yeah.
So basically, they just me influencing people there, they thought that was a threat. And we sent Brother Kaba out there to do the screening. I could get out there. But they told me if I have a layover in Britain, they're going to detain me.
Wow.
And I'm not a part of the organization. I don't have any felonies anymore, and I don't have any criminal cases. Just a person who talks about white supremacy. That's a threat.
That says a lot about when we talk about power systems and structures and the people that surveillance it and watch it and how they determine, because you got to imagine these are real people in rooms making decisions.
Yeah.
And they determine after watching your presentation of Hidden Colors, looking at your profile, they had to come up to some conclusion that this influence will have great impact on the citizens, specifically black citizens, right? So they made a determination that this is dangerous for us.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't think that there's real agendas and people in small rooms making these decisions as far as how the mass population should be influenced.
Exactly.
But you being banned from UK, right, is direct proof of that.
Yes, indeed.
Because you didn't do any violence to anybody. You didn't commit any crimes.
Exactly.
You specifically told the truth, right, in the history and delivered that education to our people. And they said that that's a threat.
Exactly. And knowing the history of the royal family, again, going back to them, they try to play innocent. These are evil people. These people have been committing atrocities for the longest, and not just on the general public and the non-white people. They do it to themselves. Look at Princess Diana. People really need to get into what went down with her. When she was with Dodi Fayed, who was a non-white person, and was a Muslim. And remember, the British family and those royals in Europe, they don't want another situation where they have Moorish bloodlines popping through. That was the problem that made Europe fall in the first place. The Moors running everything. So they said, we're not going to have another Moorish situation where this woman is going to have a potentially African baby who's going to have claim to any part of the crown. So there's a reason why that woman was offed over there in Paris. That wasn't an accident. That wasn't the paparazzi. That woman wasn't, they weren't running for their lives from some damn people trying to take a picture. You know, that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Dodi Fayed's dad even said that, hey, they were killed by the military, the British military. They've said that. Now look at Meghan Markle now. They've somewhat excommunicated them because they have these mulatto children now. They don't play about the bloodlines at all. Man.
That's an Aryan white family right
all
there.
All day. And they're German. You know that family's German.
Yeah.
You know?
And see, I'm a very logical man.
Yeah.
If I have a superpower, it is logic, right? So for me, I look at a family that calls themselves a royal family, which means that they believe that they're supreme, right? So this is a white supremacist family by the logic and definition of what they represent, a bloodline.
Yes.
Right? This is what they consider to have a supreme or a royal bloodline, right? These are not people that are interested in mixing with African, right, blood. So when you look at that, you can't denote any other conclusion. Then you look at the history of the family and their cycles of how they colonized and they stole and they robbed and they killed and they raped and they maimed. There's no other conclusion that you can come from besides that the royal family is a representation of white supremacy in its truest form, at the highest form.
They colonized, what, 90% of the damn planet? Over half the planet was colonized by this one royal family. They received all the benefits, and they act like there's some type of symbolic power. No, they run the show.
Yeah. Why do you think so many Africans love when they was crying and sobbing? And did you feel anything?
Man, no, man. And that just shows how colonized.
Yo, Shabaka, why your girlfriend crying?
Why do you think so many Africans love when they was crying and sobbing? And did you feel anything?
Man, no, man.
Look at Shabaka on the side. That's Shabaka, everyone.
That just shows how colonized some of, the non-white people are. But to sit up there crying over that woman. And
yo, Kwame, help your shorty up, man. We know she from Jamaica, man. Yo, help your girlfriend up, man.
And that woman has raped the resources of their homeland.
Yes.
You dig?
Yeah.
That shows how deep white supremacy is psychologically.
Yeah. So where we at right now in history and time, man? We had an interesting parallel where we have more information, more resources, more access, more ability to communicate at any other point in time in the history of this planet Earth. What do you believe is that thing that stops us, right, from, besides reparations and having that particular resource repaired, but what is that thing that you believe that stop us from committing to that next level of our progress?
That's a great question. You know what the problem is, brother? We could get rid of systematic white supremacy if we really, really wanted to. Because let me show you something, man. The brothers and sisters down in Florida, the Maroons, when they were a small number, there's only a few hundred of them beating the U.S. Army. Over in Haiti, those were unarmed people. These were slaves who didn't have no weapons, beating 3 armies. When we decide to say, hey, enough is enough, enough will be enough.
Yes, sir.
A lot of times we don't want the responsibility of running things on our own because a lot of us think we kind of got it made. We can just kind of laugh, joke, dance, let white people take care of the heavy lifting. We think we got to.
Oh, that was your wife? Oh, shit. Nigga, why didn't you hug your wife? Why didn't you hug your wife when she was crying?
A good deal going on right now. But we also understand if we get the white supremacists out of here, who's going to run the waterworks system? See? Now we can't be clubbing and lollygagging. We got to get up at 6 in the morning.
So we want managers.
Right. See, we think those are cool little managers. They do that. We can do our little lollygagging and jerking around. We got to get down to serious business because, look, the white supremacists are going to die off, unfortunately, because their numbers are dwindling, unfortunately.
I give like raw racism 20, 30 years.
Yeah, it's not going to be around. I tell black people this. They're not going to be running stuff too much longer, just by nature. Okay, nature is going to, handle that, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it. We're going to have to start running stuff and getting into the habit of who's going to run them satellites up in the sky? Who's going to run the power grids? Who's going to do the non-pretty work?
So you said at this point we're dependent. And then of course we talking about races. I can't say if everybody who's handling whatever engineering responsibilities are racist, but I can say that, the idea of separation and breaking off completely means that you have to restart, right? And then you have to have the knowledge in that complete races, the pen grids.
Who's going to do the
and then of course we talking about races. I can't say if everybody who's handling whatever engineering responsibilities are racist, but I can say that, the idea of separation and breaking off completely means that you have to restart, right? And then you have to have the knowledge in that community of people that's restarting. Otherwise, you can only build to, the intellectual and the educational level and ability of those people, right? So But you know, and that's why it's dangerous that when we go get educations and we go to HBCUs, and I've seen a recent article that said that now there's a higher percentage of white students that's coming into these HBCUs, right? That's taking over. So the one thing that we talked about when we took college is that it is a great experience. So I tell people, yo, college is scam. You ain't getting, it's not worth it now. But they say, what about the experience? Well, now the experience is becoming gentrified, so you won't even be able to get that experience. Because white people are looking for it as well. But when they come, they integrate and they gentrify the experience, and it waters down. So now you won't be able to get that HBCU experience in the next 10, 20 years. Right? So now you really have to see college for what it is. And it's a way of creating a certain class of workers, you dig? But at the same time, it's a scam for them to be able to get money. And we can tell that because of the amount of debt, right? Versus the people that actually got educated and that have a skill set that they applied and that was as valuable as that debt.
See, when we first started.
Now you like 19 keys, huh? Man, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Shabaka, right now you doing some grade A dick sucking right now. I gotta be personally honest. Nigga, why you on that nigga's top like that, my nigga? Come on, now you want it now? After he said some shit that you like, now you, oh yeah, yo, he's good. Then shut the hell up, Shabaka.
Having the HBCUs, you know, they were A&E and agriculture and engineering. So there was already jobs ready. So we were going to go and get a very specific job. Now we don't have that. We have communications. We have all of these useless degrees now, and you get out, and where are you going to apply this stuff now? And I'm not trying to knock anybody from going to college, but we have to focus more on trades and be very specific about what we're going to go to college for. What are we going to do specifically? Not just go to get in debt. Because that's what's happening now. Folks are getting out of college and you're driving for Postmates in debt when you get out of college. That's not it right there. We got to be more focused about what we need to do.
Yeah, I mean, we're going through, you know, economic restart over the whole world. New systems are being laid out. By the time this thing finishes and we go through whatever this cycle is that we're going through, the same players that was at the top won't be there. A lot of them are going to be ate up by those who have the ability to buy those companies, expand, right? And then there's going to be new businesses that's going to be built out because you have the millennial and the Gen Z. Their needs and their wants are different. You look at the Asian population, they saying that less people are spending, where there was the Asian spenders, right, were making up for increasing the economic size over there in China. But now they got what they call these super savers, right? So now they believe in figuring out ways to be as frugal as possible, right? They don't want to spend a dollar because we've been through these economic cycles that aren't fun to go through, the recessions and the COVID.
It's called, what's this called? They call it couponing, but there's a word for it. Like, if I'm gonna spend my dollar or if I'm gonna spend my $20, it's gonna get me farther than I want it. I'm gonna have to spend more money, but the dollar's gonna get me further. They be on that type of shit. My baby mother's sister be doing that shit. Like, I call them hoarders, but they be coming up with some dope shit. They have some dope shit. They just got too much of it. You know? So that's what he's talking about. I see that shit all the time, man. It's new to me, man.
So now people are scared to spend a dollar. Right? So everybody has to go through this transition where you have to pivot. You have to change your business models based on the new psychology of society. So when I look at education, you can't have the same education, and the world has changed 10 times, right? But the same education is there. So now it's more important that the kid know how to monetize YouTube than it is for them to get African American studies economically. Right? So how do you justify education and an increased tuition where the education is the same and the world changes, which decreases the value of that education?
This is why we have to learn how to evolve with the culture. It's very important to understand the culture and how to evolve in the culture.
That's what I was telling you, Shabaka. I was like, the reason why Pan-African, I told you this last pod. No, I said this 2 podcasts to you ago. The reason why Pan African movement failed because y'all didn't evolve with the times. Y'all got left behind. And you thought all that old shit that y'all was doing and saying was gonna work. It's not gonna work. This is why I said the Pan African movement is dying out. I'm being personally honest. This is why it's dying out, Shabaka, because at the end of the day, you haven't caught up with the times. Nobody don't want to fuck with no Pan African. Once you say Pan Africans, niggas will be like, I'm good. God bless your heart, man. Hope you the best, but I'm good.
Just like when I do the movies. When I started doing movies 10 years ago, DVDs were the lick. So now DVDs are going out now. So now I had to learn how to get streaming sites. I'm working on the streaming site now. So you've got to evolve. You've got to adapt, man.
Production now. Like when we do high level conversation, the key about it is, you know, everything when you I don't just try to throw the same template over every video. Every video needs something different.
Yeah.
Right? We may have long streams of conversation, so we need more B-roll. Because a person may not just want to look at somebody talk for 10 minutes straight. But if there's B-roll, it resets attention.
Yes, it does.
So but when in our culture, things about design and production are more important than ever because the way we're communicating now and the way that we're monetizing our intellectual property has changed. Everybody has to have a media arm in their business.
Yes.
Right? Now you get to be a political pundit that doesn't have to run for office. Right? But you have the same influence and sway over somebody that is a governor, or somebody that is an alderman, or, you know, even we seen Donald Trump become president through social media.
Yes.
So now the way you strategize and the way you attack your own, you know, business model has to change, right? I teach blockchain specifically because I feel like, number one, the ideas of cryptocurrency wasn't about buying low, selling high. It was more so about this allows us to create a whole new decentralized system.
Right.
If there was ever, and I can't tell you who made it, I can't tell you there's a nefarious agenda behind it, but if there was ever a technology that we was waiting on, it's the blockchain. Every generation there exists tools to change the lives of those at the bottom class and at the top. These tools are things like the internet, or the printing press, or the light bulb. It represents innovation, paradigm shifts for generations to come. Those who have the education are able to take full advantage of the innovation by setting themselves up as the industry leaders, the most qualified and skilled, so they can teach the world what's to come because they are the ones that build it. It's starting to feel like even though you have access to all this information, most people still don't know how to use it. It's like the world is getting tested, but you need a cheat code in order to make sure that you pass it. People feel like the algorithm is against us. Well, what if I told you that we built the algorithm that was for you? In the block world order, it's about technology, it's about community, and it's about education, and giving you the opportunity to free yourself to make sure that you're not waiting on the next generation and the next tool and the next technology and the next update to be free. The first was the internet, right? Because, you know, it democratized access to media and commerce and things of that nature, and influence. And now it's the blockchain where it democratizes access to financial systems, right? Ownership, copyright, trademark, patent systems. So now I talk to my brother Idris Sandu, and we talk about this is the place where we can actually write our history and our narrative, and it can't be destroyed because of the very nature of this technology. So being able to understand and recognize when you grab a historian like yourself and a filmmaker like yourself, and I talked about like creating.
You and Shabaka be making each other look crazy. I'm gonna be personally honest, Shabaka. Come on, dude. You and Shabaka be making motherfuckers look crazy. Like y'all make Pan African movement look crazy. This is why I say, yo, you're great in day trading. I believe you can really train people, and I hope I can give you the platform so you can grow and teach people. You know, again, you know, these are the things. Hold on. But yeah, it's I I just hope you change what you're fighting for.
You know,
I hope you change. I hope you fight for Black empowerment instead of the delineation and all that other crazy shit. I don't think you should be fucking with that. I think you should be doing black empowerment, like a life coach or some shit. Kwame, you're just not good at it.
Metaverse museums or depicting history in the way that we tell it, right? And showing what that looks like.
Right.
Part of not having a vision is your imagination never being fed, right? Our imagination is fed from white writers, right? We get black producers and actors, but we don't write the scripts.
Right.
The scripts is where all the spelling and the magic is. This is where people take scripts and movies as true history. Most people are given the benefit that Woman King is a true story and that this is accurate depiction.
White woman wrote that script.
Yes, and the slavers are held as heroes.
Right.
So most people are like, yo, we gotta see that. We gotta show our young girls. What are you showing them? You're showing them a depiction of once oppressors that sold out black people in America and holding them up as a way for a young girl to get inspired and gain some confidence because she see a black woman on the screen. So it's a trick bag.
It really is.
You understand me? And they play us like that, but our responsibility is to say, okay, we get it, Tariq Nasheed, we get it 19 keys, but what we go build, right? And this is why I love what you've done, because you built a legacy, right? And you've built media and film that fosters and feeds the imagination and the vision of our people to where it'd be like, yo, I can now see myself.
And I created a whole media apparatus to counter those narratives. When I first started doing the Hidden Color series, the reason I did it was because you had movies at the time that were horrible to us spiritually. Remember around 2008, 2009, around that whole period, you had movies like The Help, which was horrible for our psyche to see these black women moping around under these white people. You had movies like The Blind Side. You had movies like The Butler. All of these movies, man, had us in these real weird subservient positions. 12 Years a Slave, where there had to be a white hero saving us. So psychologically, that was draining us. So I had to create something. I was waiting on somebody to create something, but nobody would do it. We kept saying, we need an alternative. So I said, okay, let me do something. Let me get all the people that I like, the people that I've read and studied, and let me try something new. There was nothing done like Hidden Colors before. A movie talking about straight up and down hidden black history while we're attacking white supremacy. That was the thing.
Yeah.
Because that's the kicker, because most people get funding from the dominant society. So you're not going to say too much about the dominant society.
That's a fact.
At the same time, we were getting the stuff together for the Hidden Colors film.
I'm going to be personally honest. I hated that movie. I hated the Blind Side and 12 Years of Slavery.
Kickstarter was something that was brand new. It was a crowdfunding site.
Yes.
See, us adapting to technology.
Right.
That was new. Crowdfunding was very new, and I jumped on that early. So I said to my Twitter followers and people, I said, they got something called Kickstarter, where we can fund projects that we like. If you guys can put 20,000 on here, I'll do the rest. We got 20,000 in a month. Then we did the movie. It took off. The whole series became history. So we did something that was based on a need.
Yeah. How much you think that if a person today want to create their own documentary, how much you say in a budget should they have?
I would say to do a real thorough one, just starting off, at least $50,000 to $100,000.
Okay.
To make it thorough, to make it real comparative to what's on the screen now. I've upped the budgets on some of my other films. Like one of my most expensive films was 1804.
Yeah.
Because we had a lot of extras in it. We had a lot of people. We were doing army and war scenes. And we were using genuine costumes, and we were flying all over the world to film. We filmed in Europe. That's when I can go to Europe at the time, or the UK. We filmed a lot in Haiti. We filmed out here. So we did a lot of reenactment scenes. And I try to make my films comparative to what's in Hollywood right now.
I think that's important. Like, I really want to get into more creating docuseries. You understand me? Picking these particular topics and diving deep into them and telling these stories in ways that we just never seen before.
Yes, indeed.
Right? And the way you tell the story and the aesthetics of it is important. when I see the conscious community or even our historians, oftentimes it's never any great production.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So the
I'm gonna
knowledge
skip a
is
little
high
bit more.
because of their status as incels, and of course you got Manosphere and Red Pill, and,
Yeah.
and what I see the theme along it is y'all don't know how to communicate with women.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You don't know how to project your value and your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Now I come from Oakland.
Yeah.
When I say that, you understand that. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
Oakland is the home of great communication.
Yes, indeed.
Right? But you know, a lot of people don't have that ability today, and it's a lost art to young men. So what would be your advice to the millennials and the Gen Z when it comes to, you know, being a man and being able to communicate to women confidently?
The reason why they can't communicate, Brother Keys, is because the internet has enabled a lot of nonverbal communication. See, I came up in the game, there was no internet.
Yeah.
In the 90s,
Yeah.
you had to go out physically, meet the ladies,
Yeah.
chop it up with them. They had to feel your vibe,
That's a
they had to
fact.
feel your energy. Right now, LOL. You can type your emotions down. Shaking my head.
Yeah.
I feel good. You
Yeah.
look good. So there's no emotion and there's no game in it.
No
It's all,
connection.
it's no real connection.
Yeah.
90% of communication is non-verbal. So online, everything is verbal. You're just saying stuff, but it's not being conveyed the right way.
Yeah.
That's not a substitute for game. Game is the vibe that you give to each other. You and the woman, whoever you're chopping up game to, it's a vibe, and that's what the whole thing is about, the connection. And that's how you learn what to say, what not to say, how to act around a person and not act around a person by
Yeah.
being physically there.
Yeah.
Now, the game is very transactional now. Relationships are extremely transactional. Girls now, you meet them online, like, here's my OnlyFans.
Yeah.
So you're not even getting to see or
Right.
be around her sexually in a physical
Right.
manner. You got to look at it online.
You got to buy something.
You got to buy something.
It's an
and-
entry
Right.
fee.
Right.
Yeah, women have turned themselves into products.
Yeah.
And men turn themselves into simps.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
that energy ain't there no more.
Yeah.
So you got to get off that internet.
Okay.
You can't be on the internet all day.
Yeah.
You got to get offline and really
That's
get out
true,
here and
man.
meet people physically and interact with people physically. That's why it's important to go to things like the Revolt Summit and other events where people are networking with each other in person.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I think that the very qualities that can turn a young male to those rites of passage, right? Like for me, my older brother, I had him.
All right, I'm gonna stop right here. It's like 20 minutes left, but I think we've seen enough. I'm gonna say this. This was a super dope video, and I'm glad to watch this with all of y'all. Even Kwame and Shabaka, they were just talking to be talking. I actually really appreciate everything that we learned. And this is a 2-year-old video, and it's feel like, yo, these motherfuckers just did this like probably like 2 months ago. You know? I'm gonna say this. I hope everybody got something out of this. I hope somebody got some type of information, any type of empowerment, any type of like knowledge, just anything. You know, this is why we do shows like this. We do these type of shows and reaction videos, not to just, you know, be entertained, but also be educated as well too. You know, like I said, if y'all ever had a video that y'all want to watch, I think somebody sent me a video that we should be watching, but I totally forgot about it. I'm gonna look in my my email. If it was you, just let me know. But I want to thank all of y'all. Oh, let me land. Oh, I already landed. I just want to thank everybody for watching this. Yo, it was, yo, we did great numbers today than yesterday. I will say that. I also wanted. I'm gonna give my shout outs and my thanks. I want to thank Shabaka, Kwame, Encore. I want to thank Encore. I want to thank E-Will, Infinity. I want to thank SP. His real name was a Sotu Padre 6360, but I just call him SP. FBA Convo, Spence, what was it, 49? Spence 49, the legendary Charlie Shaw, Rando, you know, the Kwame Slayer, Randall Robinson, American Freedom. Salute to you. Shout out to DJ X1, and also shout out to Ohio. If you ever want to know, where this video came from, give me a second. I'm gonna read it off to you. Go to 19 Keys, earn your leisure. This came out 2 years ago. It's a good video, so if you want to rewatch it, definitely you can rewatch it. I just wanted to watch it with y'all because I had never seen the video. The names that I did forget, I apologize. But salute to all y'all. I appreciate y'all for watching, and thanks for the donations. I'm sorry I didn't read it out. I'll read it out next time. I'll read it out the next time, and also have a great day. I might do another show. I just gotta go get a haircut, man. I'm looking fucking crazy right now. I think this is like what, a month and a half, a month. I need a haircut. But y'all have a great time, and I will see you